And at 7:02 p.m. It is November 19th, Thursday, November 19th, 2020. This is the full board meeting of Bronx Community Board 11. Let me pull up, should I pull up the agenda? I think I will. Does anybody have it handy? 49 Precinct cannot come tonight. They called me earlier. And why? Go ahead.
So Jeremy, we couldn't even have one representative get online?
Well, we were, Jay Servat agreed to come, and then maybe he forgot about it.
Jay has another meeting.
Yeah. Maybe that's what he maybe forgot about the other meeting. That's what Graham told me when he called me. So
someone else couldn't go in his place?
They didn't. No, I mean, apparently not. At least that's what they. Again, maybe they just forgot they had two meetings, and so maybe they just couldn't do. I don't know.
Okay.
So let me see. Hold on, I'm gonna live stream this, if you don't mind. So if you want to continue, Yahe, while I do this live streaming and stuff, it's all up to you. You want to take over?
Okay, well, Alan's next, so we're gonna save his for a little later. The fourth thing on the agenda is the treasurer's report.
The treasury report's been submitted to the community board. If it hasn't been sent out yet, it will be shortly. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me directly.
Okay, thank you, Veronica. The secretary's report.
Good evening. The minutes were not posted yet on our page. I don't know why. They were sent out to them, but they haven't posted it yet. I don't know if anybody's gotten a chance to see them though.
So let me just chime in, Hazel, if you mind. So we sent them to the city on Friday of last week. So they may be, like Hazel said, we don't know why. So go ahead, Hazel. Sorry.
So that being said, I make a motion to approve the October 2020 full board meeting minutes.
Seconded.
Second by Edith Blitzer.
I think it was seconded by Andrea.
I thought it was Edith, but all right. Any discussion? They were emailed out twice. Go ahead.
Yeah, maybe I'm something that I'm missing.
Against?
Ken Gallick has something. Ken?
Maybe I'm something that I'm missing, but if we haven't seen them, how can we approve them?
You were emailed them out more than a week ago.
So obviously I missed my email.
Yeah, I emailed them out again like 6:40, maybe 6:45. So if you want to check them again, we can always make corrections later on. They weren't on the website. I don't know why.
Yeah, I saw them, Jeremy.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Any against or abstentions? Let's put it that way.
Ken Gallick, I'm going to abstain because I haven't read them.
Okay. All right, one abstention, they pass? Great. So then that's what, my report?
All right, thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Hazel. And Jeremy, you're next. Item number 6 on the agenda is the district manager's report.
All right, so a partial report was published, not all of it because I just didn't have time with this latest monkey wrench. So the one thing that board member wanted me to speak about, an ex officio board member, was 2500 Williamsbridge Road. So let me just turn my video on. So yeah, because some people wanted us to address the treatment facility that we thought was not going to happen, and then they did a sneaky. The person who bought it used their maiden name, not their married name. That's what the Attorney General's office pointed out. That it wasn't necessarily ethical what they did, but it wasn't illegal. So Natalia Fernandez, the assembly member, she did reach out to OASIS, which is the Office of Addictive Services. I don't remember the exact title. It used to be all substance abuse. As of November 10th, there was no application for this facility. There was a permit taken out for interior work. I don't think it's exactly demolition. You would need a more serious permit for that, I think. They did, and that's really it for 2500 Road. So that's not on my agenda. That's not on my report. I have no plans on putting that in my report, but a few people wanted us to discuss this topic. So unless there's anything else, my partial report is online, and I will turn it over to committee reports. Leadership, Yahoo.
All right, so very important. I've noticed, or I think we've noticed since I've been on the board, that usually the chairman is the one that takes minutes at committees. So my recommendation is to committee chairs is whenever you start your committee meeting, whether it's parks, transportation, public safety, whatever the committee is, assign someone, well, ask someone if they would volunteer to take minutes. If no one is volunteering, then just assign someone the duty of taking minutes. I think everyone should take turns to take minutes. It shouldn't be the same person. It was brought up, that was a good point by one of the members. It's like we should take turns. It's beneficial for the entire committee. So that's my recommendation for someone different every committee meeting to take minutes. Any input from anybody on that?
I just agree. I agree wholly with what you said, because we that's what we're trying to make sure, that everyone gets a chance to, be supportive of the committee, and that's what would help it be stronger, and not just one specific person. Because I know I'm still learning, and I know I can't take the notes and run the meeting and keep things calm and do all that at the same time. But I do, and my minutes are very long, so that's why I have to learn how to shorten it. So if someone else can do that, that would be helpful.
Yeah, and another good idea is to we've done that too in other groups that I've been with, and how we do it is that we try to make it consistent for a little bit, and then switch someone else over. Because if it's someone does it every so often, well, I guess you guys don't meet enough to try to do it that way. So what I was trying to say, that you want some consistency and learning process in the beginning, so someone has a first shot, second shot to try to do it, and then another person goes on for the next two meetings, another person will do it, so they can learn from their mistakes or whatever, and give them a second chance of doing it again. But I don't know if you guys meet often enough to have that happen.
Yeah, we usually meet monthly, and I'll give you an example. 2 days ago, the ethics committee met. Edith volunteered to take minutes, and she did an excellent job. She sent us the minutes, the committee members, to review them that same evening. I'm not asking everybody to do the same thing, but this is just an example. And she really did a nice job. She had bullet points. It was like really nice. It's like the best summary I've seen. So I haven't done that, and I've done minutes, for a while. So the other committee members get to see what she did and maybe do something similar. So,
Oh, that's you're right. I think that's a really another good point, because when I work with the city and every group that I'm with, there's a standard meeting minutes sheet where it's a boilerplate, and it has the subject and the bullet points where you would set it up in a certain way. You would give that sample to anyone who's new to taking meeting minutes, and they can just use that boilerplate. So yeah, you're right. That's a really good idea, because that really helps, because someone may not know how to set up a meeting minutes, how it should look, but if you give them a standard boilerplate template that they can use, it will help. That's a really good idea.
Jeremy,
agree.
don't you have a standard? I mean, I know you have certain things that you want in the minutes that you've talked about with people who are taking minutes. So you have a template.
Well, I try to put everything on letterhead. So, David Levitt was probably the best person to date to follow my template to a T, with things beyond his control, where our letterhead has been updated with the ethics committee, right? I have the committees listed on the side, so I can email it out, the letterhead. This draft. I also try to keep a similar, because I want everybody to know exactly what to look at. Into this position, on 10 years ago, the minutes were not up to my standards, and I think mostly standards. They were all.
Jeremy, I'm sorry to interrupt, but can you turn off your video, because we're having trouble hearing you?
Yeah, I probably got too much going on. Sorry. Okay, so Joanne, thank you for asking. So is that better, first of all?
I was hearing you loud and clear, Jeremy.
Okay, maybe everybody's muted. If that's part of the issue.
yeah, maybe we just don't want to see you, Jeremy. Just.
Well, I didn't put on a little bit.
But I agree with David. You were cutting in and out, and the video was kind of blurry, so it might have to do with the bandwidth.
So yes, I agree. The same here. The same thing, Jeremy.
Yeah, I got a lot going on. Maybe a lot of people talk and a lot of things. So if you can hear me now, I put everything on letterhead, and David Lent was probably the best person who made the format to a T today, the closest any board member has ever done for doing my format. There's a standard format because I don't want anything to be hidden. I want everything to be obvious. This is where we're just accustomed to seeing it this way. So it's easier to pick up on things. So I can send anybody the letterhead. I can send anybody the most recent minutes that were done for the committee. The letterhead changed. We didn't always have the ethics committee. So that's one thing that, changed recently that some people weren't aware of. We have all the committees listed on the left-hand side of our letterhead.
Yeah, and you're still okay with it, Jeremy. If someone sends you the minutes, you can copy and paste them into the letterhead to keep everything consistent. You don't have an issue with that, right?
Yeah, the only problem, which Chris, Harry, and I were talking about today, is maybe we shouldn't have meetings the week of the full board, because it's a lot of last minute scrambling for a lot of things and then with this technology hurdle too, okay. Even Hazel said, why weren't the full board minutes published in October? Good question. I sent them this in on Friday. But if I wasn't scrambling with all this other last minute stuff, I understand that November is very tough because of Thanksgiving. But it makes it very hard. As much as we can try to keep the meetings closer away from the full board meeting, the better we are.
So Jeremy, you're in charge. I mean, set it up. If you see that it's like that, you block out that week of the full board meeting and just tell people that it's difficult to do meeting minutes during this week because we have a full board meeting, and so try just establish that. That's all.
I try. Many of you know I try to crack the whip speak. I mean, and some people don't like me touching their minutes, right? Even for something simple typos or errors. I've had board members in the past, don't touch my minutes, even if somebody's name is misspelled. I'm sorry, you misspelled Yai, you misspelled Naomi. To me, it's not professional.
Yeah.
Anything else, Scotty?
Jeremy?
I know we're spending a lot of time on minutes, but it's worth it.
It's really,
We need to be on point with our minutes. I'm guilty of it. I was guilty of it last month. I did make a mistake, but I'm learning from my mistake, and I want everybody else to not make the same mistake. So the last thing that I had was the committee reports. If it comes and it's your turn for the committee reports, if you did the minutes already, just say it's in the minutes so we can save some time to move on to the other things. If you have something important that you want to mention, we're not going to stop you from doing that. And that's pretty much it for me, Jeremy, if you want to move to economic development.
Yeah, I don't know if Joe Thompson's in. This last minute thing really threw everybody off. I don't know if I need to recap on why we're meeting via WebEx when a lot of people like the other program. Does anybody know if Joe Thompson's in the meeting? I think, first of all, kudos to Yahoo making everybody join or suggesting everybody join early. I think it really paid off. It did start, 7:02 p.m.?
Jeremy, I'm the co-chair.
Oh, yeah, Joanne. Sorry, you're the co-chair.
I'm the co-chair, and I didn't do the minutes because I wasn't, doing the minutes. However, I do remember we had Park bid talking about a 3-year grant that they have. They started in September 2020. The first year is gathering information. Then the city, going to the city with our needs, the Morris Park, area needs, showed us what the map was. I wish there was a way to show it. It was so interesting. It goes all the way up to, White Plains Road, and it's pretty cool. So anyway, and then the second and third year is trying to implement some of the things that will help us. Some of the things that people spoke about were the parking issues, and there was really no good answer to that. And that's really, it was Omesh Prasad, I think I have that name correct, and of course Camelia Tepidis, who's the executive director, I guess, of the bid, and they came in and chimed in. It was a very good meeting. We also had three liquor licenses.
Yeah, do you want me to bring up the agenda, Joanne?
Yeah, because, hopefully I could see it. But
the minutes are online. Veronica did them.
Yeah, I got it right here.
Oh, they are online? Okay,
Yeah,
good.
minutes are online. Veronica did them
All right.
exactly next day.
We approved all the liquor license. So it says there is a motion to send an email of no objection to the New York State Liquor Authority regarding the renewal of for Maestros. We had no problem with that. There was a motion to send an email of no objection to that's the one I didn't remember. It was Tune.
Can we start with the first one and vote on the first one, Joanne?
What was the first one? Maestros.
Yeah, unless everybody has no objections at all, we could vote on all together if everybody's okay with that. Does anybody want it?
All right, that's fine then. The motion, I'll make a motion of no objection to Liquor Authority regarding the renewal of the liquor, wine, and beer and cider license for Maestros, for Tuntai. Was it Tuntai? No, yes, and for La Palma Restaurant, which is 900 Park. So there was one other restaurant, but Joe, they couldn't get in, so we didn't even, I don't think he listed it. So.
And no, you guys tabled it.
Yeah, we tabled it, right. So that's my motion.
Are there any, no, you don't need a second because it's voted on committee.
Okay, fine.
Any questions? Right? No?
No questions?
Any against or abstentions?
Jeremy, I'm abstaining. Yahe.
Yep.
Anybody else?
Okay. The motion carries.
Okay. Very good.
Great. You did all three of them? I'm sorry. I was.
Hello,
my phone.
hello. I was trying to unmute myself.
Yeah, Bernadette.
I do have a question. Okay, I have a question about 900 Park, which is now La Palma. Did they explain with their full liquor license, their hours of operation, et cetera, since I think this is a new management, et cetera? Are they going to go into lounge mode?
All right, because of the COVID, we didn't really have them, attend. However, Joe went and spoke to all three restaurants personally, and he saw that they had everything. Yeah, they had everything, all the tables. I'm getting feedback, I'm sorry. There were, everything was 6 feet apart and everything was pretty good. So he thought it was no problem. They were very professional.
Joanna, I muted you because I had to mute everybody. Can you just unmute yourself?
Well, I do want to remind people that pursuant to Cuomo's executive order, all restaurants must close by 10.
Okay, Joanne, you there you go.
I unmuted myself. Okay, so he spoke to them. He thinks that they really are professional and, they're following all the guidelines, all the COVID guidelines. He did speak about that specifically. If anyone else in the committee has anything else to say to add to that, that what they remember, that would be great.
Okay.
Right.
You made a point about the executive order. Anything else, Bernadette? Is it good?
Yeah, the executive order, which requires all restaurants and bars to close by 10. But also, Mr. Thompson indicated that all the tables and chairs were 6 feet apart.
Right, that's what I was trying to say. Yes.
Okay. All right, Bernadette.
We're
All right,
good.
so assuming that all in favor still, right? Good. All right, so anything else that concludes your report, right?
That completes my report. We didn't have any old or new business, although we did have some praise for our new members of the economic development. So he did point out our new members that are wonderful. They're really hitting the ground running. So that's great.
Great. All right, if everybody who's not speaking can remember to mute themselves, we will move on to David Levitt, bylaws.
Good evening, everyone. The Bylaws Committee met last evening. The reason that we met the night before the full board meeting is that the proposed changes only came up after the leadership meeting last Thursday, and we had to leave at least 3 days before we could have a meeting because that's the requirement for the public notice. So I thank the committee and the members of the board who joined the meeting last night. The proposed changes that are being recommended, I sent out the bylaws of minutes a few minutes ago, but I'll read them to you now. We will not be voting on them tonight. I will read them and I will answer any questions. And per our current bylaw regulations, we will vote on these changes until next month. The proposed changes relate to eliminating the position of second vice chair of the board. Dominic Sciano, who was the second vice chair of the board, resigned from the board a few weeks ago. And so as a result, the position of second vice chair is vacant. And instead of having an election, there was a recommendation from, I think, at least 15 board members to eliminate the position of second vice chair of the board. That is the first change. The second.
The enemy does not want what you have.
I'm sorry?
Everybody, please mute yourself if you're not talking.
Someone forgot to mute.
The second change is the second, third, and fourth change is contingent on the first change being accepted by the board next month. The second change would be to change the title of the first vice chair of the board to simply vice chair of the board, since we wouldn't have a second vice chair. The third change would be to require the treasurer to become the acting vice chair of the board if there is a vacancy in the position of vice chair of the board. Currently, nobody would fill in for the second vice chair if there was a vacancy in that position. The fourth proposed change is that the treasurer of the board would serve as acting vice chair and concurrently continue to serve as treasurer of the board. And when the election for first vice chair, when the election for vice chair were to take place, if there was a vacancy in that position, the treasurer would resume their position as treasurer. So we wouldn't have a vacancy in the treasurer position. I hope I didn't make that too confusing. So I'm going to leave it there and ask if there are any questions from the board about these proposed changes.
Yes, actually, I have a question.
Yes.
What I found surprising is how this all came about. I don't believe that Mr. Schiano, I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing his last name, but I don't think most people on the board were even aware that he was even considering to resign. And somehow, out of the blue, this email suggesting these changes was submitted. And I would like to ask the person who suggested it how they came about with this suggestion.
Jeremy and Al, can you help me understand how this originated?
Yes. So first of all, him resigning came up at the October executive board meeting. So the minutes, as some people pointed out, were not done for that until recently. So that's a reminder of something we as the board have to be better about, doing minutes on as quick as possible. So that aside, so this idea has been floating for a while, and a board member requested I draft something, but this board member is not very tech savvy. So another board member, aware of the idea, suggested a sign-on letter. So as I think you know, Edie, only one person needs to make a proposal legally. But the idea was pitched to do a sign-on letter. And that's how that ultimately came about.
Jeremy, can I ask a question, please?
Yeah.
Okay. As the young lady just stated, when you hear everything that was drafted up and decision that was made and 15 people come together and make this decision, I think that when something like that happened, I know I was missing from the last meeting last month, so I don't know, if something was said that I missed, but I would think that when you come back to a meeting, you bring up these ideas of, what's going on and have the board make the decision. But when you come back and you hear, 15 people decide and it seems like it's already set in stone. So you don't, not you, but folks don't get the chance to voice their opinion, or you don't even give them a chance to decide if you want to be. You had a second, if you had a second vice chair or you had a second secretarian and that person left, instead of making a decision not to have it, why not just ask and hear what someone decide if they are interested?
Okay, let me take a step back and read the names of the letter that was sent to me, who made the request. Joe Thompson, Vinnie Prezioso, Joanne Rubino, Hazel Mura, Janice Walcott, Oral Selkridge, Daisy Rodriguez, Lisa Soto, Valerie Babb, Darrell Bahen, Paul McCreary, Natalie Medina, Christian Amato, John Johnson, and Naomi Pemberton. Those are all members of the board. And let me just clarify the procedure that's happening here. The procedure, as I see it, it was followed to the letter. According to our bylaws, any one member of the board can make a request of the chair of the board for a bylaws change. And that was done. Request to change was sent to me as chair of the bylaws committee. As I mentioned, I think it was 2 months ago, the bylaws committee does not pass on we do not take a substantive position on each bylaw change. We review it in relation to the existing bylaws, whether or not there is a conflict, and then we draft the exact language, and then we pass it forward to the full board for a vote. In accordance with our existing long-standing requirements, that presentation is being made tonight, but we will not vote on it tonight. A vote tonight would not be permissible. We will vote on it next month. So this is not a fait accompli. This decision has not been made until the full board passes on it by a majority.
Well, you know what I find troubling is that if the position is open, then that position needs to be filled as long as there's still, if Mr. Schiano had still time in his term to serve, then that position should be filled. And we should have been voting on it, and we should have been made aware of his resignation.
Let me address the first part about filling the position. Making aware of his leaving the board is not up to me as bylaws chair. However, the chair of the board has, according to our current bylaws, and this is a long-standing rule, has up to 2 full board meetings, 2 months, in order to call an election. So Al was not required to call an election to fill Dom's position this month. He can call that vote next month. However, with this intervening change, if this bylaw change is voted on for the election next month, then we would not have to have the election. That's an exact reading of our current bylaws.
I'm not sure if that's accurate.
Very good, David. Very good, David.
I'm not sure if that's accurate.
Why not?
I would have to read that. I would have to read the bylaws because I don't think it can omit or delete an existing position that has not, the term hasn't completed yet.
There's nothing in the bylaws that says that a position can be removed from the bylaws whether or not there's an incumbent. But you're free.
I would have to read the bylaws again.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
Yes, I
No,
have a
David,
question.
I think you said it perfectly well, but if someone wants to read it, let them read it.
David, I have a question.
Yes.
At the leadership meeting, we only decided, or at least discussed, the removal of the first chair. Now you're adding in I guess the treasurer acting as a first vice chair. This is coming out of the blue, which is very interesting to me.
Yeah. There was additional, I'm looking at there was an additional recommendation.
David, didn't Sandy say that was in the bylaws, that can happen? That's what she stated.
Currently, the first vice chair, if there's a vacancy in that position, the second vice chair moves up to that position. If the second vice chair is vacant, nobody moves into that position. Is that what the question was?
Basically, there was no discussion of anybody or taking over that position once it's eliminated. All of a sudden, it's appearing, and I'm wondering, how did this come about?
I'm looking at the emails that were sent to me.
if you review all the notes from that,
The letter that I received that was signed by the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 current board members said, number 3 in that note said that although the second vice chair position has always been historically present, there is no reason why the treasurer of the board couldn't fill in for the first vice chair should there be a temporary vacancy. I took that to mean that that was a recommended change. I have it in writing, and Jeremy can send it to the full board.
but why wasn't the leadership team made aware of that? Because that was never discussed, and it's not only my memory, others could chime in.
I don't doubt you, Frano, but I wasn't at the leadership meeting, so I can't answer that question.
Okay, again, it seems like a certain group wants to do something without the full board knowing about it.
So Frano, at the leadership, we talked about sending out the proposal, which is, it's like David said, it's in the proposal. You did get you did get that, right?
No, at the meeting, we didn't discuss the proposal as is listed, Jeremy. Look at all the
Well,
notes.
we didn't go into detail and
Okay.
discussion because we said we'd send it out.
That's all I'm saying, Jeremy.
Hey,
Okay.
Frano, while I agree that it wasn't mentioned and we didn't discuss it, I think they had to come up with a plan of action. We didn't cover it during leadership, and maybe we should have if we discussed getting rid of second vice chair. But then who fills in for first vice chair if something happens to them or they quit or something? We didn't cover that, and maybe we should have. Maybe we should give the committee some credit for coming up with an idea and addressing it. That's the first part. The second part, I know how everybody feels, maybe left out since they weren't involved. It's only 15 members. It's something new. It was done properly. And while it was done properly, it still made some of us feel like we were left out. So I think just going forward in the future, Jeremy, if you can talk to Al and then maybe send it out to everybody, give everybody an opportunity to sign on to the letter or just look at it. That might be something going forward.
Well, that's also maybe a bylaw proposal somebody should make, because the way the bylaws are written is it's given to Al in writing, and Al must present it at the next meeting. Like, for example, over the summer, we had a proposal for a new committee. That wasn't given out right away either. You know, I mean, so to make it, mandatorily given out, maybe we should change the bylaws to that effect. Dave, what's your thought?
I think that makes sense. I think it makes sense that any bylaw changes be published. We currently have this rule that it appears before the board for 2 full board meetings, but I would agree that yes, it should be published as soon as the recommendations are made to the chair.
This is Lisa. I kind of don't understand the difference here because it's being presented now. So why would it have to be presented before going to the bylaws committee? Like, I feel like that takes away the rights of members to propose something, to propose a change. Like, we're voting on it before we vote on it. Like, I just kind of don't understand. Maybe I'm missing something.
I think, Lisa, the recommendation is to publish it, but not to vote on it. So there was a number of the email that was sent to me, and I was not involved in any of these discussions, but the email that was sent to me was dated October 26th, and that was drafted by Naomi Pemberton. And then that was sent to Al, and then Paula Creary forwarded it on Monday, November 9th. I only received it on November 12th. So I think the recommendation is that people don't want to be blindsided by this as a presentation at a full board meeting if it's been out there for a number of weeks, especially if it's going to be on the board agenda.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. I think you're right, David.
Well, in the leadership meeting, we did say that the proposal was going to be made available to everybody through email. So unless I'm mistaken, everybody should have received the email and everybody should have read it.
And just to piggyback off of Hazel, you know, a lot of people probably are not checking their, you know, email collateral or anything like that. To suggest anything nefarious was done here, you know, I think is not accurate. You know, oftentimes we do propose a lot of things in the open. It's up to members to start reading their emails, and that's my honest opinion.
Darrell,
I agree with that.
Darrell and Hazel, I appreciate what you're saying, but I'm looking at the the email chain, and I don't think it's fair to say to the board that they didn't read their emails. These proposals were not sent to the board.
I understand what you're saying. I appreciate everything you're saying. I appreciate what every member is saying. But at the end of the day, we've been at this for a while, and we've seen where members believe they're blindsided and they just didn't read an email.
I mean, I do send out too many emails. I will admit to that. I don't want to, but I do.
I don't think you send out too many. I don't think you send out too many emails at all. Like far from it.
Andrea Siegel had a question.
And if you send out an email, I think it's our responsibility to read it and to either respond to it if we have to, or to just take it into consideration. You know, you're not doing that just for the hell of it. You're doing it because there's a reason why you're sending emails, because you want to keep us informed. And I think it's our responsibility to be aware of the emails that you send and to read them when you send them.
Hazel, that's all well and good, but in this case, that did not happen. None of us received emails regarding this situation. And secondly, we should be made aware if a member is no longer with us for whatever reason, and not have to find out at a full board meeting that they resigned or passed away or whatever.
I agree, Andrew.
Can I say something? Okay.
Go ahead, Ava.
Hello.
I was saying that it's okay. This meeting is tonight meeting, and if something didn't happen tonight, we're discussing what didn't happen. We shouldn't be discussing what people don't do, what they didn't do. The fact is, this wasn't sent out. Folks was not aware. So let's focus on that at this moment. But instead of keep going back and forth what people need to do, what they don't do, and what they should do, that's not important right now. We should be focusing on this meeting right now and what happened. That's what we should be discussing. And moving forward, you know, we can encourage people, please read your email. And I myself, I do sometimes miss reading an email, and I acknowledge it tonight that if I miss something, I'm willing to just listen. But there's no reason to bash anybody about what they don't do and what they should do. We're grown folks here.
Good point. And I think, Ellie, did you have something before I close out this topic?
No, I just said, I would say that I never received the email. Perhaps Jeremy can clarify whether he sent it to everybody or just to a few people.
I don't think everybody was on the list. So here's part of the problem, and I think we briefly discussed it during the leadership meeting. Al and I will fall on the sword for that one. We should have made the community board aware of this new proposal, even though it's not required by the bylaws, but maybe it's a good idea. Going forward, we'll do better at that. And if we do suck at it, then we'll just put it in writing so that we're forced to do it.
But maybe
so if everybody can just give us another shot going forward, I think it would be beneficial.
Maybe
but that's a bylaw change, right? If we decide to change that system now that's in place, we have to change the bylaw change and let everyone here know that from now on, that's what we'll do.
Well, yes and no. I don't think there's any. I don't know that we need to make a bylaw change to send out to the full board that somebody made a proposal to change the bylaws. There's nothing secret about that, in my opinion.
Exactly, David. I agree.
So if everyone checked their email at 7:05 on November 12th, you would have saw I sent it.
Yeah, but on October 24th, a proposed draft was sent out to the board. I don't know. The thing is, I don't know all of the listings of who is, on the BX11. I see like several, participants on the email. But on October 24th, it was sent out that there was a draft proposal.
Wait a second. Jeremy, I received the email on November 12th at 7:05 p.m., but the way that it was addressed, I cannot see the header of that email to say that everybody on the board received it.
No, November 12th. So again, we had this issue back in the spring or the summer. A proposal was made in the summer that is Christian in the meeting? If you don't mind me calling you out, Christian. He made a proposal that was sat on for months.
I'm here.
Yeah, am I wrong? Was your proposal sat on? Or?
Hang on, Jeremy. I'll address that in a moment. What I'm asking you is the November 12th email that you sent at 7:05 p.m. Did you send that to the entire board?
No, because
November 12th. Yes, 7:05 p.m. This came up at the executive board meeting that started at 6:40 on November 12th, and basically, Al said it was my mistake. Or I think somebody said, yeah, okay, send out to the entire board. So I did it right there and then, in between the executive board meeting and leadership on November 12th at 7:05 p.m.
Yes,
Should have won it earlier? Yeah, probably. But
maybe you can show it, Jeremy, because I have it on my email, and everybody was CC'd on it, on the proposal.
Yeah. So.
Well,
I'm confused.
I see it, and everyone is CC'd here.
No, that the way I see it is that the people who were CC'd on the November 12th, 7:05 email were the people who made the recommendation. I don't.
No. That's when I email the board. Generally, when I email the board, it's BCC'd because, Fernando, correct me if I'm wrong, you don't like when people reply all, right? A lot of people complain to me about reply alls, right? You got a little out of hand when somebody's complaining about why are we using Office Suite or something. So that's, you're not going to see who it was sent to, but I'm telling you, I see.
Jeremy, thank you. You answered my question. You said you sent it to the whole board and you did it as a BCC. That's fine. But is there anybody in this meeting who could say that they received that November 12th email at 7:05 p.m. that would prove what Jeremy is saying, that it was sent to the full board?
Jimmy.
Yes, I received on November 12th at 7:05 p.m. an email about this.
Question is, did anyone not receive it? I
Well,
think that's the issue.
I don't remember receiving it. Jeremy, why don't you just send it out again to everybody? And that'll be the end of this discussion.
Okay. So the other thing, David, you mentioned, I don't know if you directly mentioned it, we are meeting in December, right? We are going to meet in December. We don't normally meet in December, but we are meeting in December. So get ready for that.
Yes, I thought I said that we were voting on it next month. I said that because I know we're meeting in December.
No, I know you know that, but not everybody may not register because normally we don't meet for the past, 10 years or so? We haven't met?
Yeah, that was in Al's report, the chairman's report. I was going to mention that later.
Okay.
Jeremy, there's a correction. We technically had an unofficial meeting because of the holiday party. So can't say we don't meet.
Respectfully, Frano, a holiday party is not a meeting of the community board because it's not noticed to the public and the public is not allowed to attend. So that's a misnomer that the holiday party was a meeting.
We did meet the other year about Blackwell Commons in December.
2018.
Okay, so getting back to this proposal, it's out on the floor. Are there any questions about the substance before I close my report?
I have two questions.
Yes.
Okay, the first question is, How did the resignation originate? Because I wasn't there. This is Diane Norris. I'm sorry. The last 2 or 3 meetings I haven't been there. I've been at teacher parent conference and I've had different other appointments and I did not make it. I was not there when this happened.
Can I answer that question? Okay, so here's what happened. We met last month at Maestro's. It was during the executive meeting, and Dominic Ciano said that he was gonna quit by the end of the month, or he was gonna give us a letter by the end of the month, and he walked out of that meeting. Of course, we said, you know, I tried talking to him, Al tried talking to him, we tried to talk to him to reconsider, and he did not want to reconsider. And we didn't, because we didn't have it in writing, it wasn't official. So then when it came in writing, it was kind of like, you know, a little confusing. He said, I'm resigning from my first vice chair position. And we're like, okay, is he resigning from the position or the community board? So that was still confusing. And then we finally got an answer. So it took a little bit of time. It wasn't your normal resignation. So it was a little different. So I hope that answers your question, Diane.
Okay, thank you. And has this position, the second vice chair position, ever been omitted before?
Not as long as I can't remember that we've not had the second vice chair position. It's as far as I know, it's always been that.
Okay, thank you.
Not entirely true. When I was on the board, we did not have a second chair.
I stand corrected.
From what I understand, Tony was the one that created that position.
I think you mean Sergeant Arms. I think you mean that.
Okay, I think that Joe Thompson was the first vice chair, so Tony did not create that. It was there.
Yeah, I think she means the Sergeant Arms was created. That's what was created in 2013.
That's different. That's different.
No, I know.
Yeah, I'm not talking about vice chair.
Yeah. So,
and for awareness purposes, Jeremy, if you can please look into other community boards, I guess, do they all have second vice chairs?
I'd have to look.
No problem. Take your time. Maybe by next month, if you have an answer, just in case, you know, maybe all of them have it. You know, 100% of community boards have that position. Maybe it's not a good idea to do something that other community boards are not doing. So we just have a set standard. And if half of them have it, half of them don't, just like a public safety committee, some community boards don't have them. And if it's something as flexible as that, then maybe we'll know. But
Jeremy had scanned old copies of our bylaws for Community Board 11. I'm looking on our website. The earliest ones we have on the website are from 1997, and the second vice chairperson position was in there. And I believe that if we look through all the other bylaws since then, it's probably been in there. I don't remember removing that position and putting it back in.
Yeah, I think it's always been around since the creation of the community board. Natalie Medina has her hand up, though.
Thank you.
I just noticed. Natalie, did you want to say something?
No, I must have pressed it by mistake. Sorry.
Okay, so
does anybody else have any questions about this proposal before I close my report?
Jared, can I say something? It's Chris.
Yeah, Chris.
Okay, the point about getting rid of this position, it had to do with the fact also technically, since the Sergeant of Arms was added, then it happened to be an even number. So when it comes to the point about the executive board voting about something, he might split the vote 3-3. Then with the Sergeant of Arms being created, second vice chair basically doesn't have any purpose. What exactly does the second vice chair do? To replace the first vice chair when he gets sick? Or what's the I don't know, I mean, percentage of that happening is very rare. So that's why it was thought either the Sergeant of Arms position will be rid of, and the second vice chair get that position by taking his work, or the second vice chair goes and Sergeant Marv stays where it is and continues to do what needs to be done?
Chris, can I just address what you're saying? The issue about there being an even number of members and the possibility of a split executive board at a vote is absolutely valid. That's a possibility. I disagree about when you say that the creation of the sergeant at arms position overlapped with the second vice chair. It really didn't, because the second vice chair had no defined duties, and that has always been the case. It's always been in the bylaws that the second vice chair had the responsibilities that were given to that person by the chair, and also their role was to fill in for the first vice chair when there was a vacancy in that position. If I could be permitted just a moment of history, the reason, in my experience, why we had a first and second vice chair is that it was a training ground for people to run for the chair position. And because what happened is that often the person in the first vice chair would run for chairperson, then there would be a way for the second vice chair to run for the first vice chair, and then eventually the chairperson. It was an effort, in my opinion, to create and give somebody an opportunity to get closer to the leadership while having some experience. If a person was motivated as the second vice chair, they could ask the chair for specific responsibilities. And that's the way I see it. We could either have it or not have it. It's really up to the board.
Can I get some?
I guess I could speak of the
I
house.
think that was the whole point. That was the whole point of this, was that we saw that it was a redundancy and there was no defined task for the second vice chair. So why not make the board more efficient and have the president and the vice chair, and the proposal that we put together, or that was put together, would give the guidance of how things should be operated. And that was the whole purpose of this proposal.
And Naomi, it's even simpler than that. We don't even have two vice presidents of the United States. We don't have two lieutenant governors. We don't have stuff like that. So like, I don't understand. I didn't understand the actual role of the position of a second vice chair, to be quite frank.
And that's, I think that's a perfectly valid way of looking at it. I think the other way is also equally valid. I think there's different ways of looking at it, and I don't think either way is right or wrong.
Just for the record, CB10 does have a second vice chair.
Right. We should find out what all the community boards have.
So I will email you all right now. Email called as discussed. All right, so this is going to be a resend of the email I already sent out, and you're not going to see who it was sent to on the 12th because it was BCC. If you want, I don't have to BCC everyone. I can send it to everyone. It's up to the board. I normally BCC because lots of people complain to me about the reply alls.
Okay.
What do you prefer?
It's fresh in everybody's minds. That's fine.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Jeremy. I know you're going to send it, and that's fine, and we all appreciate that. But I don't want to take too much of the board's time on this. If there are other substantive questions about this proposal, can we get that out on the floor now? Otherwise, I'm going to close my report.
Good job, David.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other final call? Are there any questions?
That's it, David. Stop asking. You might get one.
Okay. Thank you very much. I close my report.
Okay, so that means back to the agenda. And community development, Andrea Siegel.
Good evening, everybody. We had a meeting on Monday. The minutes have been submitted, but they have not been published yet.
Yeah,
So
and it
as
was
soon as
emailed
published,
too.
I'll look at them. Excuse me?
And I emailed it because I couldn't publish. I mean, we just got them today, more or less.
I didn't say you didn't. I just said they were submitted.
Yep, but I did email them out to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ethics, Yahe.
All right, so I was going to save it till the end. Is that okay? Skip me for now, and then we'll come back.
Yeah, That's fine with, that's fine.
Before you go to the gallery session, come back to me before you go to the gallery session, though. I
Okay.
might do the chairman's report.
Okay. Housing, Hazel.
At a meeting, our minutes were sent to the board. They may or may not be posted on our website. Thank you.
But Hazel had a really good point about the conduct statement. Yeah, hey, did we cover that? She texted me.
That's why I was going to include it in the chairman's report.
Oh, okay. But we did vote on it leadership, so you just want to handle it now?
Yeah, fine. We'll go over it now because I did miss it earlier. So everyone has seen it. We've tweaked it a little bit. Jeremy, if you can please put it up on the screen. I would like to call for a motion to publish the conduct at meetings statement. We've reviewed that statement numerous times. I'd like to get a second.
I'll second it.
Andrea?
Well, it was voted on committee. You don't need a second. It was voted in October. So
Good
I don't
point.
think you need.
Okay. All right. So, Jeremy, if you can pull it up and then we'll open it for discussion.
Just bear with me. Okay, I got it. I just got to pull up. Everybody see this? I know I have to maybe zoom in a bit. I don't know if I can. I can just put it on a Word document if that's easier. Probably too small for everybody, right?
Yes.
All right, just bear with me. Let me
click that Zoom button right there on the top of your sheet.
Maybe Joanne can see it. Joanne is probably the only one that can see it.
Yeah, you have a Zoom button on there.
Probably has the healthiest eyes right now.
That's through I don't know if it, yeah, okay. I mean, it might have worked. I don't know. I'm going to zoom in.
Okay.
Otherwise, just bear with me. And it was emailed to everybody, I think today, or today or yesterday, I forget. She sent out earlier, but I think I forgot. Okay.
Yes.
Can everybody see this?
Zoom in just a bit.
Yes, it was emailed. Yeah, I think either yesterday or today.
That better? Yeah, hey, or you want more?
Yeah, I think that's good. So that's it. Any discussion on it? I'll give everyone a minute to go over it.
I had a question about the last bullet point, electioneering is prohibited. I suspect that you were referring to related to people running for public office, but the statement could also be read as you can't speak for yourself or for somebody else who's running for an office or position on the board.
That's what I thought. The second one.
Well, I think that electioneering should be allowed. We've just made bylaw changes that was encouraging, actually requiring people who are running for office or positions to state why they're running. So would that be prohibited?
Jeremy, can you throw the word partisan in there? Partisan electioneering is prohibited.
Well, what does that mean?
Like if you're running for a political party, maybe it's prohibited, but if you're running for like our jobs, it shouldn't be.
How about instead actually for
David, what do you think? You're a lawyer. What do you think?
I think we should put in there that electioneering for public office.
This would be a public. How about electioneering other than for officers of this board?
Yes,
it's prohibited.
2011.
Always ask the lawyers. That's what you're doing.
I agree with Ken.
how does this play in for not-for-profit issue advocacy, which can be done through 501c4s and accept political funding and could be funded by a politician?
We had solicitation in there. We removed it that way so the nonprofit organizations won't be impacted.
David, what do you think of this edit?
I'm just reading. Electioneering for offices other than community board 11 positions is prohibited. For offices, yeah, I think that'll get it done.
So what happens if somebody is already in a position and they're up for re-election? A politician's not allowed to speak?
Well, they just shouldn't be allowed to ask for our vote or ask the public for their vote, but they would have the right to speak in the gallery session, wouldn't they?
Well, it's always been our policy, unwritten policy in the gallery session, that people were held out of order if they came up to request votes for assembly member or a senator or anybody. It just wasn't done. We didn't allow it.
So the only thing we allowed is the power of incumbency. If you're already in the position, you speak from that position, not running for the position.
Right, but they were speaking about public policy, not about you should vote for me because I'm better than the other person who's running.
We haven't had that
Yeah,
issue.
but what happens if they're making their, their 5-minute speech type of stuff, and they're like, oh, by the way, still going to run in that way?
It's always been our policy that we would call them out of order. They just knew not to do it. It just wasn't done.
Yeah, I don't think we need to worry about it if we haven't come across it.
We have come across it because I have been an elected official, and I knew when I ran for re-election not to ever mention it at a community board meeting. It's just common sense.
Right, exactly.
We also have told people that they cannot electioneer in a board meeting. So we've done it a couple of times where we shut them down.
But we've also historically told people they can't, basically, promote their business. Like I'm giving a sale or something. So we gotta be mindful about how we shut people down in the future in regards to that.
We're talking about electioneering. We're not talking about their businesses.
No, I know, but originally solicitations were in there, but we took it out. So if somebody comes to us, we got to be mindful about shutting them down. Historically, we shut them down.
Jeremy, I want to disagree with you because how many times have we had people come from cab companies and say they're opening up a new company and they tell us all their information they want us to vote to allow it, and that's basically the same thing. Allow it and use our company.
No, that's different. That's like the state liquor authority that requires them to come to us. That's different when they're required to come to us for their liquor license. Cab is the same way. I'm talking about when we had a place by the old Starbucks by Pathmark, or not. I'm dating myself, by Stop and Shop. I remember they wanted to promote their business. They wanted to tell you about their sales, and we said no. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
But that aside, is that any others? I guess we can vote on this then.
Any other discussion? Ellie, did you need to say something?
No, I'm good.
All right, since there's no other discussion,
I have a question.
Bernadette?
Yes, I'm sorry. I was just texting it. With regards to I'm just asking this as an example. I think it was last year when we had Darcel Clark had the floor and she was discussing things, but I was also right before she was being either reelected or she was up for office. So I was wondering how that falls into that category. And she spoke right before, I think it was the month before.
But I remember her speaking, and she was speaking about public policy.
Correct, and she never mentioned that the election's coming up both of me.
Okay, I just wanted to bring that up if that was sort of, boarded on the line since it was right before.
Yeah, but as long as they don't bring up.
Okay,
Yes,
all right. Thank
People
you.
have to meet themselves. There's some. Right, go ahead, Yaya.
All right, so we'll do it a little backwards, so we can, anyone against the proposed conduct meeting statement?
Oh, yeah. Hey, shouldn't we mention about where this is going to appear?
Yeah, I was just about to ask that. Yeah, where's this going to appear?
So it's going to be uploaded to the website, right, Jeremy? And it's going to be on the agenda of every single meeting.
For approximately a year. That was the decision by the leadership committee. It'll be basically the cover page to every agenda, and it will be on the agendas page before the list of agendas. So basically it's in everybody's face, so they can't say they don't know about it. Does that sound good, or?
Thank you for reminding me about that one.
Okay. Any against you?
And no one against. Any abstentions?
Wait, before we take the final vote, I wasn't aware that this was going to be put on the agenda item for every committee. I'm concerned about that because it's a bit provocative to say that we're going to call the authorities. I mean, I've chaired a number of contentious meetings, and I've never felt that I've had to call the police, and I just feel like maybe we could tone down that language a little bit, or maybe leave it up to the chairs of each committee if they absolutely positively have to put that in their agenda each month.
So David, if I may say something, I remember when I think I wasn't even working for the board, but I was at a board meeting where the police had to have had to escort people from the full board meetings. I remember specifically a gentleman who lived in a northwest part of our district. He was escorted out by the police.
As a matter of public safety, I say that we keep it in. Absolutely.
What about if you say that, and could result in the authorities being summoned? Because you're saying here, I see what David is saying, that you're saying it's an absolute. The authorities will be summoned. Could you say it may result in the authorities being something like that? I think everyone understands what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but disturbing the peace is a civil issue, right? So it could get to that point. We could use our discretion.
Right. That's what I'm saying, Joseph. That's exactly what I'm saying.
I agree with
Into a lawyer.
David and Oral. I don't think it should say will. I think it should say may result in the authorities being called. But I do agree that I think every committee, it should have been presented to each committee first. For instance, I made changes to that conduct statement that I forwarded to my committee. So I think that, people should have been able to give a little more input into this conduct statement.
Yeah, because everywhere you see, even on the.
Include,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Oral. And possibly even include, like, honestly, what Hazel said last meeting was troubling. I don't want anyone to go to my job. I don't want anyone to go to my home. I don't want anyone to contact my employer. And I think that should also be included in the conduct statement for conduct outside of the meetings. And I've sent that to Jeremy.
Yeah, you know what? I do now. I'm sorry. I do remember that now, and I think I helped you edit it, and then I completely forgot about it. So
Yeah, and
Yeah,
actually
she
resend it to I resend it to the ethics committee because I think it is important.
yeah, that should be in there. It's very important.
But it's like my problem is that when you're doing it like that, we may be infringing upon the constitutional free speech rights. Again, it's just similar to when you demonstrate at any other public official's house. You can make set you can't go 20 feet from them, but you have a right to go stand on the public sidewalk outside of the mayor's house, outside of your council person's house, outside of any elected official's house. That's and you're saying that we could prohibit that, and I don't think we can.
But the thing is, we're not public officials. We're not voted into office. We are community board members who are doing this on a voluntary basis and we should not tolerate.
I think we actually are public officials.
We are public officials. Even we're not, maybe not be elected, but we are public officials.
The statement that came from the BP's office just a few days ago that we were all forward lists us all as part-time public servants. So I would say we are, in some regard, a public official.
I don't
But we do not, but I'm sorry, but someone cannot sit in front of my house and shout things. I am not working at a public official office. That's different. This is my home, my personal property. I disagree with you.
I don't disagree with you.
I don't think they should do it either, but I am one of the persons who has been harassed by a person. And at the same time, they have to have the right, they do have the right to go to your house, to go in when you're in public and come up to you. I think that we cannot prohibit that.
No, Ken, they do not have
But don't you have things that say it may result? That's what I'm saying. It may result because it doesn't have to. But if it goes beyond a certain point, you're going to have to get the authorities involved. No.
When it gets to harassment,
it was created to support the members. It was created to protect us, and we were trying to make sure that we have enough strong language so the same people will not harass people so much to make them want to leave the public service that they're actually providing. This is why some people left, and because they were being so harassed and nothing can be done about it. We've been trying to do everything about it, but there's nothing to do. So we had to put something that's stronger in order for the same individuals to understand that it's not right for them to harass people like this.
So hey, I don't.
So David, what do you recommend, David? How should this be written then?
Well, I agree with what Ken was saying. I also understand people's position that they don't want people demonstrating outside the house, but it's a complicated issue. I don't think we can resolve it here. I wonder if we should table this and have it go back for further discussion at the leadership and maybe ethics and disciplinary, and we can weigh in on it over a period of time.
I think we should adopt this now. We can always come back and add the other things in later, but this is a start. At least we will have it there and have it as may be considered with the may instead of will. I think we should at least adopt it at this point. It's a start, and I think we should keep it.
That's another approach. With the change from shall to may summit, I would go for it.
Right. We're not creating law, right? We're just trying to say that we want to be protected by the law, and we may make an enforcement of some sort.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so
David, can you look at this and is there any other precedents that we can look at to see if what other in any other agency may have something similar to this? I know that like transit has something like this on the train stations, that if you may get a fine or may get imprisonment for harassing or attacking a conductor. They have that sign there too.
There's that part of it on the front lines. Another way that might be more analogous to us is if you're speaking before the MTA board or before the board of trustees of the City University of New York, things like that, where those are public bodies that are similar to us and where the public is invited, and it's an expectation that people will behave themselves, but if they're simply coming to demonstrate, then the demonstration is usually allowed for a few seconds and then they're removed. And we could begin to gather those and perhaps adjust this over a period of time.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Okay, so the way it's written, is that okay with everybody currently? Even though,
yes,
there should be some additions like that were maybe forgotten, unfortunately. Anything else? Yeah, you want to call for the vote?
Yeah, and it won't be a perfect one. It won't be a perfect statement, but we did take it from Community Board 10, and I don't want to say it was really bad, but it was poorly written, and we really worked on it and upgraded it and made it look really nice. So other community boards have done something similar, and it was suggested by the BP's office that we come up with something like this. So anyone against? Anyone abstaining? All right, with that being said, I would say that it unanimously passes.
Hey, I don't want to belabor the issue, but David made a great point about, so David wasn't concerned about the statement so much as the distribution of it. David, are you still concerned about distribution, or are you okay with the current?
I would prefer it if the chairs of each committee had the option to include that with their agenda.
Can I make a motion to that effect?
Okay, I make a motion that this, what are we calling this?
Conduct statement.
I propose that the conduct statement of Community Board 11 be distributed with the agenda of each meeting at the discretion of the chair of each committee.
Can someone type that up? I don't know if anyone. Jeremy, are you writing that up?
Well, Harriet takes notes for Hazel usually.
Okay.
Hazel's taking minutes. I know she did pretty good last time about it. But
no, because that was well said, and I don't want to forget how it was.
Jeremy, I haven't been taking minutes. I wasn't asked to.
Yeah, no, it's fine. We got it recorded.
Okay.
And please, everybody can mute yourself if there's an echo again.
Hi, it's Harriet. I will listen to the tape and take it down verbatim and type it up. Is that okay?
Yes, thank you, Harriet. Is there a second?
I second.
I second. Okay.
And is there any discussion?
I just want to add that although we ask the committees to share it, we're not asking you to read it before each committee. It's there, it's present, and you can say, we have the conduct statement here. So you don't have to read the full thing, but it would be a nice reminder for everyone to get used to for the first year. That's why we suggested it that way.
And I understand and I appreciate the work that was put into drafting the statement, Yahi, but what I was responding to specifically was that this was going to appear before the agenda for every committee on the board for the next year. And I just feel that the committee chairs should have the option to put it out there. That was the purpose of my statement. I just feel that it may not set the right tone for certain committee meetings to have this out there before the agenda.
It can be a standalone document, right, Yahe? It can be a standalone document that you have, and this is the conduct statement, and you read it out loud to everyone, or you have them read it, and then you go on to your agenda, right? Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
I have a suggestion. We possibly can post it, since most of our meetings are in the board offices. Why don't we post it in the board office?
That's a good idea.
Yeah. The other thing, though, too, we're doing remote meetings, so the agenda is very prime and of importance. So either way, there's a motion on the floor. If there's any other discussion, can we just vote on it?
I know I'm going to need it. The Parks Committee is going to need it.
So yeah, it's a standalone document. Make it a standalone document that you bring with your other agenda.
I think it's important that every committee should have it.
Yeah. David, it's your motion.
So if there's no other discussion, then is there anybody who's against this? I don't hear anybody against. Is there anybody abstaining? I don't hear any abstentions. So then I'll assume that it's
I'm going
unanimous.
to extend because I know I'm going to need it. So
Well, I respect that, Pat, but what all I'm saying is that it's not it would be up to you as the chair of the committee that you could use it. So it's not barring you from using it, but I respect that, and we'll mark you down as an abstention. Are there any other abstentions? So
She
the-
was abstaining.
No, she just.
Yeah, I agree with Andrea. I don't think she was abstaining, David. I think she was just saying that she's going to need it.
I misunderstood.
yes.
Okay.
So it's unanimous.
It's unanimous.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it for leadership again, right, Yahe?
Yeah, that's it. I think David has beat us up a lot this meeting tonight.
No, David's been very good tonight.
I didn't mean to.
No, it's a good thing. That's what lawyers are here for.
I know. I'm just messing with him.
All right. So, the agenda. Where is it? Happened to it now. Oh, I got it. Okay. So, housing we did right. Parks. Pat Charles.
Yes, okay, we did have a meeting and our minutes should be in, and I'm not sure whether or not they've been posted to Parks Department. However, Deborah and Lisa and myself had suggested that we were going to go to some of the parks to see the conditions of them. But when we got the list, unfortunately, I had to go to work, and it was a little, confusion on how we would be able to get together and find out which parks we were going to go to first. So that was that had to be pushed to the side because I couldn't get a connection with anybody, with Deborah or Lisa, over the weekend. So we're going to try it again. But otherwise, the other minutes should be in, and I just want to make sure that everybody sees it if it's in if it's on the website.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody took them, but we'll work on that. So, who's after Parks? Transportation?
Public
Fran?
safety.
Yeah,
Public safety.
Okay, so you want to do public safety or transportation? It's 1 minute. So
They didn't meet, but there is a new chairperson of the committee, if that matters to everybody. I don't know if that person wants to say anything. It's really up to them. It's Veronica is the new chairperson of the committee. This is her 17th committee. I'm just kidding. So, all right. So Veronica starts talking. So Fran, go ahead. Transportation.
okay, our meetings will be updated because there's been few corrections and they'll be submitted for publishing. We apologize.
Okay. And you guys didn't vote on anything to my knowledge?
No, we did not vote for anything.
Veronica, you want to say something?
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't find my unmute button. It's probably a good thing. I just wanted to say we didn't have the meeting, but I'm going to try to have something for the January meeting. I don't think we're going to be meeting in December.
Yeah, you're not the only committee. So, no comment statement, no. Okay, so then we'll move on to gallery.
Hey, Jeremy.
Jeremy,
Yes.
may I have a question?
Yeah, Andrea.
Okay, I see all these committees had meetings, and if I had wanted to attend them, the website to get onto it is never posted. How am I supposed to know about ethics and disciplinary if I want to join it?
Well, that's not true. It is published and
Where?
on the website.
The memo, yes.
No, the memo does not go out to the full board. It only goes out to members.
Andrea, something I figured out a little late, Andrea. If you see it on the calendar, move to the agenda, go to the agenda link, and once you pull up the agenda, you click the agenda, it opens up, and there's a WebEx events link on the agenda itself. So you have to go to the agenda, click on the link, and then it'll take you to the meeting.
Okay, because I saw that it says like say WebEx, but it didn't give me like the ID number. So okay, thank you, Yahe.
But that aside, because of Office Suite moving to that platform, I sent out every Office Suite, or like tonight when there was a sudden change unexpectedly, I sent it out to. Now I send out that to everybody. I mean, sometimes I send it only to board members. Sometimes I forward it on to the public. It depends. At this point, mostly everything just goes out to everybody. So nobody can say they didn't get it.
I disagree because I had wanted to listen into the Ethics and Disciplinary Committee, and I had no way of doing it because I didn't have the link to get into it. I didn't know what Jay just told me.
Yeah, that one was different. And one thing I could probably do is calendar invites. I mean, it's going to be time consuming, but
and if you're sending out the link to the committee members, why can't you just send it out to every member? And if they're interested, fine. If not, they'll delete it like they delete 90% of your emails.
All right. Thank you, Andrea. Yahe, you want to say something before Andrea?
Oh, yeah. So Al hasn't signed in, right?
Not that I know of. So you want to do the chairman's report?
Okay. So, yeah. So if we go back to item 3, the proposed bylaw amendments, I think we discussed them. Did I miss anything there, Jeremy? I think those are the only ones that David Levitt went over, right?
Say that one more time.
The proposed amendments, it's in the chairman's report.
David handled that pretty thoroughly.
Okay.
December meeting.
December meeting, we will be having a meeting. We are supposed to have 10 meetings a year. So we will meet in December so we can comply with that. The other thing is attendance. I mean, there are some people that have been on the board for 2 years. I haven't seen them. I've never met them in person, or I haven't seen them, I guess, this past year online or anything. So there are some attendance issues. They're going to be looked at closely. And Jeremy's working on something to provide the committees with their attendance. So if you're a committee chair and you see a committee member has missed a certain amount of meetings, please let Al know, and they might be removed from that committee or the community board. So if we have people that are just, on paper, we have 48 members, but it seems like every meeting we only have 30 people that dial in for the past 6 meetings. So I don't understand why we can't at least hit 40. It's not that hard, especially with these online meetings. I know everybody has something to do, but it seems like almost 20 people have something to do every month. So let's work on the meetings. And I think given the role of the minutes to other members of the committee will encourage people to be a little bit more active. Sometimes if you're just a committee member, you're like, okay, I'm just going to dial in. I'll dial in while I'm taking a nap or something. But now you might be assigned to take minutes. So be ready to take minutes. So attendance is going to go in hand with, being more active in the committee. Any input from anybody? You can yell at me, or if you don't like what I said, but I think it's fair.
100%. And this is a wonderful thing that we're keeping track of who's attending and who's not, because like you said, a lot of people probably just log on, just take a nap or do whatever, or don't show up. This is us serving the community board is a selfless act, and we're here to do the right thing for our community and, the people we serve, So I agree with you 100%.
As do I.
So,
well said, Nora.
So yeah, hey, and one thing I think I talked about at leadership in October is that a lot of times board members will complain to me about their no-shows on their committees. The committee chairs will complain to me. You're complaining to the wrong person. You need to speak to Al. You need to speak to the member. Reach out to the member. Try to, if they're not showing up. Or just talk to Al and ask that he takes them off your committee. Or if you're on a committee and you don't want to be on it, again, talk to Al. I mean, you can talk to me, fine, and I'll talk to Al, but that you guys should also have a relationship with the chairman, let alone with each other.
Yeah, and I think the attendance report, if you can give that to the committees, I think it will help them make that decision. I know as public safety chair, I've had a member since last September. So we're going from September 2019. I never met the guy. We had numerous meetings last year, numerous meetings this year online, and I've never met the guy. So that's an issue.
So in the meantime, I highly recommend you speak to Al about removing him or her from the committee.
Yep, and that's why it was mentioned. Sorry, everyone. So I took so much time, but at least I didn't take as much time as David Levitt today. So
thanks.
So Jeremy, if you want to go to the gallery session.
Yes. So we will start with the first person on the agenda, Ms. Delgado. Go ahead, Ms. Delgado.
Yes, before I initially came to speak about 2500 Williamsbridge, but I'd like to make a response to this earlier discussion by the committee board members. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
First, there are laws that protect free speech, and there are laws that protect anybody, regardless on the board or off the board, from harassment or any unlawful activity. There's also laws that protect people from libel and slander. So I would like to leave that at that, because have been very inappropriate remarks made at this board meeting, which I will address with the board, with the BP. Now, regarding minutes, we want to keep the community informed. And that's why we need minutes. But we don't just need minutes, we need them on a timely basis, not 5-6 weeks after the meeting was convened. This is in violation of the open meetings law. I'm not talking about publishing it on the website, because you're not mandated to publish on the website. It means providing the people with the minutes within 2 weeks after the meeting, whether via email, website, whatever means that you prefer, but it has to be accessible and provided, which it has not been done so in the past. And currently with the several meetings, including the parks minutes, the leadership minutes, and there's been several excuses why those minutes were not provided. But this has to be, this is not fair to the community, because not everyone could attend the meetings. In fact, I don't think anyone attends the meetings. I think I'm the only person tonight, and I think this past 2 years, I only see a few handful of people attending the community board meeting, but
30 seconds.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars is being funded to this board, yet barely 5 people attend the meetings at most. And regarding 2500 Williamsbridge, this has more to do with the maidennet. It initially was sold to 2500 Williamsbridge LLC, and somehow the deed became to CHI LLC. So it had more to do with the person's last name. It was a totally different entity, and somehow it was switched over to a different entity, and we don't know how the broker was not aware of this. How can you sell something to one person, but yet the document shows another entity?
Time.
Okay, great. Unless there are any questions, remember, gallery session speakers, you have 2 minutes of uninterrupted speaking time other than the 30-second warning, and then you can entertain up to 4 questions, or you can respond to 4 questions or comments thereafter.
I have a question. This is Joe Menta.
Yes.
So Ms. Delgado mentioned about 2,500, and she was cut off due to time. I'd like to hear the rest of what she has to say about 2,500.
Okay. Let me unmute her then. Everybody can everybody mute themselves first? I'm just gonna mute everybody. Fine. Hey, Ms. Delgado.
Hello, I appreciate the follow-up question, Mr. Menta. What happened with what happened with this 2500 Williamsbridge? In the closing statement, yes, Ms. Anna Marie, the owner of CHI, used her maiden name, but she was just a signee who made that initial offer. But it was sold to Williamsbridge Road LLC. That's on the closing statement. But on the deed, which is filed with your local board, with acreage, with the property tax board, it's under CHI LLC, which is a real entity, which runs the Upper East Side location for Carnegie Hill Institute, which is owned by Anna Marie Karkus, which is her legal name. So this has more to do with someone using their maiden name. And unfortunately, I don't know why the community board didn't inform the public, especially me, since I was the one that found the deed. But I'm not giving myself credit, but I was monitoring this situation because I never trusted that this deal was not going to go through. And when I found that deed right before Valentine's Day, and I almost have passed out, I initially did a little investigation. And most people told me they've been in the real estate business most of their lives. They never can understand how a closing statement that have one entity, yet on the deed it's a totally different entity. How you have to have transfer tax. So if I bought it under this entity and I give it to another entity, there's something considered transfer tax.
Well,
How
if
does
it's
this happen?
here's the advantage. Here there is an advantage. I will answer your question. There is an advantage when an LLC makes it the purchase. It makes it easier to transfer the ownership to someone else without going through all the regulations of selling it to someone else. So that's a big advantage, and maybe that's why they used an LLC to make the purchase.
I agree, but the LLC is totally different on the closing statement than it is on the deed. It's two different LLCs. And when you make a transfer, regardless if it's to an individual LLC, there has to be a paper trail. That paper trail doesn't exist. So what happened?
So I remember this where we left off with it. So everything that I'm hearing, I'm aware of, and how that's happened. I know we've asked questions. I don't know how that's happened. Perhaps somebody with real estate can answer that question, but I know that at this point it's sold, and now we have a program, I believe, that's going to be run out of 2500 Williamsbridge Road, and that's another. I know Senator Biaggi said that she had made a statement, a formal statement. I think we have that, Jeremy. Which she was saying, if there happens to be a need, or if the security is put in place, she kind of left it open-ended. And I responded that I wasn't happy how she responded. So, I do know that we still have an issue here, and Ms. Delgado is right. You had one LLC, and then it changed its names. I have seen all of this, and I don't know at this point what the community board can do, or what our options are to do with that particular location.
I'm sorry, Mr. Menta, may I say a quick statement, please?
Okay.
I'd like to say that I'm not kidding myself. If I did not find that deed, this clinic would have been open for business. The fact that I found this deed in time, and I held that press rally where we exposed CHI and other people involved, it kind of shamed them where they didn't put in the application yet. But there are existing providers, so they don't have to go through the long process as a new provider being vetted. They just have to add a short form where they're opening an additional location. Unfortunately, they are in good standing where they are currently operating in Upper East Side. So when they put the application, most likely it will be approved. So there's two things that can be done by our electeds. One thing they promised, which they didn't deliver, is pass that legislation which will prohibit such a facility from operating within a range from the school, just like a porn shop, just like a liquor store. They never did that. There was no movement this year to move that legislation forward, because that would end this discussion, and they will be forced to sell it because they did not list this property, meaning they still intend to open this facility. Second thing they could do is pressure Oasis to revoke their current license because of how they obtained this property in a very deceptive manner. Not only lied to this community, they actually cheated this widow of $75,000 because initially she was offered $1 million. She turned it down due to the cries of the community. So she assumed this was a different buyer, and she took the lesser offer of $925,000, meaning they actually defrauded this past owner of $75,000. we can actually try to have the electeds, if they're willing to do it, write a letter to OASIS. Not only do they not want this license to be approved at this, certified at this Bronx location, but also they should consider revoking, because when you have such a license, you have to be in good character standing. And that's what they did.
So I guess, you know, what and again, everything I'm hearing, I definitely am aware of. But I think that we would have to bring this up to the appropriate committee to determine how we would like to get the, elected officials involved to, first of all, prevent something like this from happening again and possibly have CHI or OASIS license revoked. But thank you, Ms. Delgado, for the time and the comments.
Maybe
Okay.
we should, I'm sorry,
No,
maybe we should make a motion to send a letter to the elected officials to pass a law, because I do remember them making representations that they were considering passing a law.
Correct. They made a promise and they didn't even introduce the bill.
Yeah, the only thing, I need to read a mute. Hold on. So we can propose that legislation is drafted, to my knowledge, but I don't think we can actively encourage the passage of legislation. I think that came from the law department. I think there is a corporation council opinion on that. I can double check.
Do we have any of the electeds that are on, Jeremy, that are going to speak once the gas
So Councilmember Joe and I was going to speak. He and I actually spoke before this. We went over the determination from the Attorney General's office, where they made it clear that this is bought using a maiden name versus a married name. I don't know if he's prepared to speak. I did get a text message that we will be told when he's ready to speak. I know Assemblymember Fernandez jumped in the meeting, then jumped back out because I said you probably can be needed until 8 o'clock. I don't know if Senator Biaggi was going to come and speak. I'm not sure. I'm looking right now. Mark is here. I don't know if he's physically. I can try unmuting him. Hold on. Are you here, Mark?
I am, Jeremy, and I think you have my video also. I don't know if you can put that on. It's not important.
You can do it now. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Perfect. Okay, here we go. So thank you, Jeremy, and I apologize. I've been back and forth between Community Board 10 and 11, and I hope in the upcoming year, Chair and District Manager, between you and Community Board 10, you'll figure out a schedule that doesn't conflict, not only for me, but for others. There's so many of you that are on this board or to participate because you're community residents that want to be able to join both community board meetings. And I really hope in the future you guys will figure out a way to prevent that from that conflict from occurring. But with that being said, I heard a lot of what's going on. I know that I have Ardnir on as well, and he's been updating me as I've been following the other community board. Let me begin first with bringing some things to everyone's attention. Technology for schools. We've been assured this week by the school superintendent, 20,000 Bronx students will get the technology that they need, the tablets. We've been on this from the very beginning. So if there's anyone out there that knows of any student that does not have the technology to be able to participate in online classes, please let my office know ASAP so we can get them that much needed equipment. Secondly, PPE. I can't stress the importance of wearing your masks and your hand sanitizers and how important it is to do social distancing. We'll continue to give out PPE to everyone. I need to make sure that if you don't have any, you contact me and we'll figure out a safe way to get you the equipment that you need to protect yourself and our community. The only thing I can tell you that I've seen grow in the last 8 months is food insecurity. And the lines and those that are on those lines that are willing to wait for hours for a box of food is heartbreaking. These are our neighbors. These are the people that we live next door to, have worked with, and they're on lines for hours waiting for food. The insecurity of food is so devastating. I encourage anyone that knows of anyone that is suffering right now with food insecurities to please contact my office. We are feeding thousands every week, and no one should go hungry. In good times, government is supposed to be there for you. In bad times, we must be there for you. And with that being said, I've secured over 3,000 turkeys. So if you know of anyone that's in need of a turkey, please contact my office right away. Monday and Tuesday, we expect the turkeys to be handed out. It will be with a specific schedule to avoid crowds of more than 25. Please don't show up. You will not be taken care of. You need to pre-register with an RSVP. You'll be told what time to arrive to avoid an issue. This is for real. And please stress the urgency of RSVPing. If you don't get it, I'm sorry?
Just remember, we're keeping it 10 minutes, Mark.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Jeremy, for that. With the scare second phase of COVID, I'm encouraging everyone to participate on Monday. We have a hearing on small businesses for those of you that are interested with the impact on COVID and what impact a second phase and a shutdown could have. I'll be chairing that hearing. If you need more information, contact me. On 2500, I think, Jeremy, you covered it all. We are following this. There is nothing that anyone can do until, if ever, an application is submitted to Oasis. This, a rehab center, a rehabilitation center cannot open up without the prior approval. No one's even made an application. So I want to address the fears and the fear mongering that's going on. There is no application other than a Department of Buildings permit to do some interior work. There is no application to the state. We confirm this weekly. I've been working very closely with the Assemblywoman on this. She sits on a subcommittee, and we've been on this every week to make sure that there's no application that has gone in. And the last confirmation from Oasis was as of today. No application thus far. We don't know when it'll ever go in, but we have to keep right.
Councilman, can we?
Yeah.
Is it possible to create legislation to?
Joe, I had to mute everybody. Unmute yourself, Joe. Just Joe only.
Sure, no problem. Is it possible? I mean, the question in the comment has come up, as you're well aware, even back when several months ago when this was going on, about creating legislation that would prevent something like this from happening again.
Assemblyman Michael Benedetto had put that legislation in several years ago. It hasn't moved out of committee, and it would be the similar requirements for liquor licenses. You can't be within a certain amount of feet of a school, house of worship, community board, or community center, or residential neighborhood. Those are the reasons why we oppose this location. It is not the right place. We don't oppose rehabilitation centers. We want to make sure they're put in places where they work with the community. And I also go a step further. These are decisions that should be made by community boards. Community boards and not elected officials should be the ones that determine what is acceptable and what is not. Whether it be a zoning issue or a rehabilitation center, a rehab center, you should decide. Elected officials are supposed to support your decisions. But I agree with you.
Yep. What can we do? What can we do to get this thing moved forward?
You're gonna have to continue lobbying. The problem that you have, Joe, is because the need and the substance abuse and alcohol abuse that exists, the need is so wide and so great that it's very difficult to convince someone not to allow them to open up. So it's a very delicate issue to address, but we need more legislation. We need more of you engaged with your elected officials and to petition Albany to get this done. Only Albany can do this. New York City cannot make that determination.
Okay.
Thank you, Joe. I don't know if anybody else has any questions. I'm just. Go ahead, Darrell.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask. Mass mandate.
Hold on, Darrell. I gotta mute everybody. Okay, Darrell, unmute yourself, please.
way to introduce legislation for a mask mandate. We have a lot of community members or people in the community that's not taking this thing seriously. And sorry about that. So I just wanted to know, is there any legislation in the pipeline for like a local mask mandate?
First, I want to address your baby there before I address you, Dorel. I think he or she deserves the attention. And I love the cooing in the background. The threats are there. You know that if you don't wear a mask that you can be fined. The problem is that the laws are not being enforced. It's unfortunate. And what they're actually allowing to happen is allow this second phase to perhaps close us down again and shut us in place. And if that happens, our businesses are going to go, and our residents and families and everyone else is going to pay a real price. This is simple. An ounce of prevention. Wear a mask. Wear gloves. Wash your hands. Protect yourself and the people that you come in touch with. Don't allow this to escalate to the point where we have to shut down again. It's in your hands. It's in our hands to prevent this spread. And we can do it. So thank you, Dorel, for bringing that up. Anyone else have any other questions for me? Then I just want to say thank you. I want to thank all of the community board members for the work that you do year in and year out. This is the time of year that we get to sit back and reflect. I'm thankful to have you in my life. I'm grateful for the work that you do, for the voices that you are for our community that make it so strong and such a great place to live and raise a family. So please take care of yourselves. I'm wishing you a healthy, safe holiday season with all the blessings of this Thanksgiving. And we all have a lot to be grateful for. We're still here. So God bless you and thank you for having me.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
Okay, we have Assembly Member Fernandez here. I don't know if she wants to speak about 2,500. I don't know. I think maybe we might as well just put her on anyway if she wants to speak about that, if she can. Natalia, if you want to run your video and unmute yourself, by all means.
Good evening, everyone. Hope we're all doing well. First and foremost, not to touch into some of the emotions that were passed in tonight, but thank you for those that supported me in this last election. I really do appreciate it. We won with great numbers, but back to work and happy to do the work. Regarding 2,500, yes, it has been an ongoing monitoring from my office, from the councilman's office. I literally email every Monday checking in on the status because nothing can move forward until a permit is put in. They can do the construction, they can try to make it what they want it to be, but if that permit isn't approved, then nothing can happen there. So that is our last, maybe probably not the last, but that is our key to stopping this from happening, because like my position has been since day one, when I was the only elected official and the first one to attend that committee meeting where they first presented, I was against this project. I have done everything in my power to stop it. The legislation that Benedetto introduced, it is stuck in committee because current members of the, I believe it's in, I don't even think it's in the OASIS committee, the Alcohol and Substance Abuse committee right now. But there are some concerns with it. Particularly the fact that houses of worship are used currently for AA meetings or other rehabilitation services. So the language needs to be edited, and it is Assemblyman Benedetto that has the power to do so, given that it's his bill that he introduced. But we are on top of this. I live right down the street, so I pass by every day to check on what's going on, and please trust that I will do what I can to make sure that this does not open. The investigation by the Attorney General's office did find that nothing was illegally done in the purchase of this. The transfer tax was a question brought up at the time by Councilman Jonah, and that was found. So there was no missing information. Yes, unethical because of the name difference, but purchase happened. But again, we can stop it. If there is any push that members of the board wants to do, write to Sullivan Benedetto to, I guess, maybe alter the bill so it is specifically addressing this particular situation, because the problem that, you know, the committee's chairs and members and then central staff, you know, try to avoid is unintended consequences with the legislation that was pushed through. Furthermore, my office too has been active in addressing the situation with COVID. Numbers are going up, and we've seen that areas of Van Ness, Brownsdale, and Morris Park are in the yellow zone. So that means please do what you can to wear your mask, wash your hands, hand sanitize, keep distance, and if you can, limit your time outside in stores and in restaurants and stuff. You know, please still help the business, you know, order online, delivery from home. But to stop the spread is really important. We can't afford a full shutdown, in my opinion, and I think we can, you know, control it at best. Thanksgiving, I do have turkeys as well. My office has contacted many people. My office has contacted various organizations in the neighborhood, giving our yearly allotment of turkeys. Also, if you do need turkey, please contact the office. We will have some. And if we don't have any more, there's so many events happening. So there's many opportunities out there that I'm happy to share. Some other events, we want to do events. Really quick, if you just bear with me. To be sure I see everything happening. Yes, schools closed, as the councilman said. I too am being helpful as best as I can, reaching out, following up with device statuses for families that still don't have their devices and the children still don't. So please let me know. We are doing a Veterans Aid drive. So Veterans Day was last week, but like we say all the time, Veterans Day is every day, and we should be doing what we can to help our veterans here and now and in the future. So my office is collecting some needed items that the Veterans Hospital has requested for their pantry. That includes toiletry items, travel size shampoo bottles, soaps, conditioners, new clothing for men and women, and I forget what the other two things on there. But it's canned goods for their food pantry. So yes, in addition to that, we will be doing the holiday events because they are outside, so there will be socially distanced, mask provided, all that. Hopefully we can provide the hot cocoa as always. But the dates, I believe, are mid-December because Hanukkah does start a little early this year, so we're going to keep them close so we can enjoy the tree that will be out there. But please look out on my social media pages. We will email it out. Maria shares the events as they happen with, you know, everybody on our email list. So please look out for that, participate, because while it may be, you know, a little bit of a dreary time, we can still bring some holiday spirit and make it great. But also keep it safe. Anything else? I think that's about it, but I'll take questions if interested.
Hi, Natalia. I do have a question, and it's thank you for everything. It is about 2500 Williamsbridge. Could it possibly be that our elected officials could propose, since Benedetto has put something on the table, other elected officials join with him to put some sort of legislation? This goes out to you and also to Mark. I don't know if Mark is still with us, but propose some sort of legislation that supports what Benedetto was doing to show a joint effort with community concerns and with that. And also a suggestion was brought up about trying to maybe push ahead to revoke CHI's license to sort of throw a little monkey wrench into the stuff, even though an application, everybody seems to be waiting on the application for that, or any kind of, is there anything else that could possibly be done to show the community's concerned about not moving forward with anything in this location, and to propose some sort of legislation again, what the community is concerned about its distance to schools, its distance to this, as we do in other situations. Is that a possibility to even think about doing from all of the elected officials' offices, or is that something that instead of us staying quiet and just waiting? So I throw that out there as food for thought, and I don't like to know if that's possible.
You're muted, Assemblywoman.
You have to unmute, Natalia.
It's possible, you know, any piece of legislation that is, I don't want to say reasonable, but you know, that is a good idea, can be drafted, but it is then going through the process of getting other members to support it. So while locally, you know, we can push it and say, you know, this is a problem here, it probably is a problem in your neighborhood there. It is going to be a longer effort because I have to get 150 members to agree to sign on and vote for it. So, like the councilman said, this is a very, very sensitive subject, given the high problem that it is right now, especially in the Bronx and New York City and all over the state and country. So, yes, we can introduce the legislation, but will it be simple to pass, quick to pass? I would have spent money on it. There is a process that does take time.
Bernadette, if I just may add, the Assemblywoman and I sent a letter in opposition to both the state, signed by both of us, a joint letter. And we're just waiting. Again, there's nothing that we can do at this point except be attentive to what is going on. No application has been submitted. There's nothing to stop. Now, that doesn't mean that they won't put an application in. But the Assemblywoman, who has a relationship with Oasis, each week follows with this herself. And we have nothing in play at this point. And by the way, that doesn't mean that next week somebody else can come up and do something up the street or next door or around the corner. So Bernadette, we just have to be mindful. This is a business, unfortunately, and we have to be mindful that rehab centers are needed, and they can pop up at any location. It's always done through an application, and you have to come to the community board as well.
Benedetto's bill does not have a sponsor. Is there any way of getting a sponsor so somehow it moves instead of just is stuck in mud?
Benedetto's push, you know, responsibility to push it to members. So for your bill, you're the one that advocates for it, pushes it for it. I could sign on as a sponsor, but I do have concerns too with the language specifying, you know, what services can be where, because like you said, there are houses of worship that do help in community needs like this.
Okay. There's anything else? Edith, let's hear you had something. You had your hand raised, or was that an accident? Ooh. Somebody else?
Yeah,
Edith,
Chairman,
muted.
the governor's office going to be on?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay,
Hold on, go ahead.
Natalia or Mark, anyone can answer this question. Is there any way the community can be notified way in advance before a building is rented to, like the halfway house on Barnes Avenue was thrown down our throat in one night? That is across the street from a school. It is not a commercial area. Why were we not notified about that so we had something to say about it?
That property should not be referred to as a halfway house.
I didn't refer it that way. I think it's a very good idea, but we, the community, had other ideas for that building. Nobody was willing to listen to us, and we didn't know the owner of the building and the property until Natalia made the announcement at a 49th Precinct Council what was coming in there. All good and well. Everybody deserves a break in life. I'm not saying no, I'm not disputing what's going in there, but I'm disputing the fact that the community is not notified well in advance.
So Edith, just to answer your question, and this is a sensitive issue, and I know Bernadette has been at the forefront on this when it comes to programming and housing that's offered that's temporary. There is no need for approval or notification. It's as of right. So this isn't a shelter. What you're referring to on Barnes and Leidick is not a shelter. Doesn't have to come before the board. They don't notify elected officials. Just like Bernadette has many program housing facilities in the Van Nest area, it's as of right.
Mark, I'm not disputing facts. I'm happy with what's going in there. Believe me, I am. Because everybody deserves a break in life. My dispute is that at least we could be notified this is what's coming in. Not what is coming in, when it's coming in.
The only notice you'll get, Edith, is once they've secured the deal and they've begun the transition into it, then generally they reach out to the community afterwards to let you know that they're moving in, but there is no notification in advance. There's no requirement. That's the way it is. Assemblywoman, I think you're muted.
Yeah, Mark, if you.
Ditto to what he said, and in the times that I asked, I guess been deemed unconstitutional. You can't stop somebody from trying to buy property, do something on property. But with clever language, I guess something can be done. But I think I did introduce a bill actually. Let me do my research on what my bill number was. I know I tried to introduce something to extend it, I think, from 30 days to 90 days of the notification period. And that too has not been.
And Natalia, thank you very much for what you and Mark are doing for our community. It's very well appreciated, especially feeding the hungry people. And while I'm at it, we're having a turkey giveaway on Sunday, the 22nd, in front of 2141 Holland. So if anybody knows anybody in need, please send them over.
I'm sorry, I have to keep muted, Mark, and everybody gets feedback for whatever reason.
Jeremy, may I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
Okay. One of the things I've brought up many times is, and I don't know where it needs to start. I know that when a group home comes into a community, it's brought in front of the community board, so the community is aware of when something is going to pop up. And the way that a lot of these programs are finding loopholes, I think we need to close a loophole within our community board. And I don't know where it starts, Jeremy, but when something is going to come into the community, at least the community board should be made aware so that the members that are there can not even just be aware. I mean, it happened 4 doors from me. So, and the person who was there lied to my neighbors and said, oh, my family's going to be here, etc. And then that's not what happened. So I just feel, as members of the community board, we need to know what's coming in, and whether it be just a program that's going to rent the whole house, which is what's happening in Van Nest everywhere. And they should be made aware. I don't know where to start. Does it start at the borough president's office, where we bring that as something through all the community boards, or does it have to? Do we ask our elected officials to do something? I don't know where the effect should be. I'm just putting it, bouncing off of what Edith said.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I mean, I get feedback. I don't know there's something wrong with my connection now. It seems like, maybe not. You can hear me, Bernadette? Thumbs up. Okay, so I think it's an impossible task, unfortunately, because, like you said, the person lied to you, right? Like, I mean, we can go through randomly check permits that are filed, but I don't really have the time or resources to do that. I'm not sure anybody really does. I mean, to check every single property just to see what's going on. I mean, usually we rely on tips from people.
What about just saying if programs, city programs, etc., are coming into a community, into a location, they should come before the community board as per. You don't have to do the research. It should come to the community board. I want to know in Van Ness, we've got 2 or 3 halfway houses, 3/4 houses, and they pop up. And, you know, and people who have property right next door go, what the hell is going on? And they come to me, I go, I don't know.
So just to I muted you, sorry. Just to answer that, I mean, the city and the state will tell you for some of these things, there's privacy laws, right? Like if it's a domestic violence shelter, you know, like, hold on. I mean, you know, Mark has dealt with this, Natalia's dealt with this. We've all dealt with this, right? I remember when Senator Klein, you know, we had a special meeting at Waters Place. I don't remember if you were there with Senator Klein because we had an EDP person that got shot and killed by the police. And the state was very like, no, we're not telling you. They're like, they were very adamant. We are not telling you. We need to protect our people's privacy, right? I mean, some of these people with the programs. So, I mean, I've seen it firsthand, and I know that, you know, this is Senator Klein in his heyday. And obviously he didn't like that answer, but he was powerless to do anything about it. If anybody else wants to chime in, I think we should move on. Okay.
I just had something else. Is the governor's office going to be on, Jeremy?
I know you asked that. No, she got pulled away for another meeting. She was going to be on. You were the only person that took me up on any questions for the governor's office, and so I appreciate that. And I know I did give you a response that she was able to give me. But other than that, no.
Okay, so here's the problem. Mark, Natalia, thank you so much for what you do. It's a tough job, so we really appreciate you. I'll start with that. But King Cuomo the second, I mean, he exploded on a reporter yesterday or the day before because the reporter said parents are confused about all these laws and what's open, what's not. You know what? That reporter wasn't lying. I'm a parent. I'm confused. And I want the governor to hear that. I'm confused. It's not just that news reporter. The second thing, I couldn't understand his executive order. His representative couldn't understand his executive order. The media couldn't understand it to even twist it around. No one could understand it. That angers me that I'm talking to his representative and we go back and forth numerous phone calls to try to read his executive order that we could not understand. And I waited weeks to get those answers that you sent me because I was waiting on those answers. The National Guard at the airport don't know the answers because they're confused about the executive order. This is regarding testing and COVID testing and who can fly to the state and who has to quarantine for 14 days and who doesn't. And who can get out of it after 3 days. This is not fair. You cannot just write executive orders that are confusing, and when someone calls you out on it, you say that the reporter's confused, not the parents. Well, I'm confused, and I'm still confused, and this is not right. So we need to call out the governor. We need to call out the mayor. They should all be, both get called out. You know, shutting everything down with the governor saying, "Oh, we don't know," and then the mayor shuts it down a few minutes later. I'm on a call with the principal, and he just tells me, schools are closing. Well, you know what? You can't just do business that way. This is not right. And you can't have a 3% positive rate. It's not a 3% hospitalization rate. It's a positive rate. So this is very confusing, and I have to release this anger because it's not fair to the community. It's not fair to the parents. It's not fair to the business owners. And the governor needs to hear it, but he's deaf because he only hears himself. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't want to take too much time. I just want to respond. Yahe, I could hear it in your voice. You're not alone. COVID has changed our world, and we don't have any of the fundamental institutions that we believed in. Everything has changed before our very eyes. When the governor shut down New York because we had our healthcare system being overrun, I think we all agreed that we had to shelter in place. And the way the executive orders are working now, No one knows what to expect next. Yesterday, the mayor at 3 o'clock announced school closures after the kids were picked up. The parents didn't even have time to take supplies from the schools so that they can have their kids at home. I have parents that are calling me saying, I'm an essential worker, I'm a nurse. I can't take off to be home with my daughter. We do have a program right now that I'm trying to get more information on, that for essential workers, first responders, that there is a daycare that we're offering from, I believe it's K through 8. Don't quote me on this, but the way I understood it, it's K through 8. If you have a child and you are a first responder, that there will be a facility for you to take your child to. And I'm looking into it. I only today received that notification. But you're not alone, Yahe. I'm an elected official. I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. You are an intelligent, articulate person. What about the mothers and the fathers out there that have language barrier problems that can't possibly understand? At least we can read and write, and we don't understand what the proposals are. There's a whole group of people that don't know how to read and write out there that are expected to follow executive orders. It's insanity. And you're speaking not for yourself, Yahi, you're speaking for many people. So bravo to you.
Yeah, I think, Mark, I think it's called Learning Bridges, the program that we're talking about.
So, Oral, you're still to mute everybody.
Okay, you have me now? I think Mark's talking about, there's a program it's called Learning Bridges, where they're making spaces available for that, for first responders to drop off their kids. But I don't know if it'll help you, I don't know, because you may not be that. But I think they're doing something about that. And about notifying the community about things happening or things moving into a building. As an architect, I know that there's things called as of right. And also, so if it's a building that is going to be occupied as of right for a certain community group, you can occupy that building. You don't really have to notify the community. The only way that can change, you would have to have some type of change in how you file permits or file for something at the buildings department, where you have it in there that you have to send a letter to the community board of this thing being, or something being changed into a system where you have to notify the community board. I think that would have to go through the buildings department. I'm thinking about that if it's a permit issue. So that's where you would have to get that change for it to happen, to make that available to the community board, where it's a requirement when you file for a permit. If it's a certain type of establishment, you would have to you would have to notify the community board. That's it.
Okay, anybody else? Or can we move on to our next gallery session speaker?
Just to say, I agree. The rollout of how this last announcement of school closure was a real mess. And I really feel for the parents that are scrambling literally less than 24 hours to the next day to figure out what to do. So those sentiments, at least for me, have been shared to the governor's office. Maybe not on my page, but I definitely did Twitter fight somewhere. Not Twitter, but thank you for saying so. We have it.
Okay. I know Frano has to leave soon, so if somebody wants to pick up timekeep while he departs, that would be appreciated. Frano, do you want to stay on? Do you have time for a few more minutes? Still here?
Jeremy, it's
Yeah,
Joe.
I'll
I can
stay.
do that if he needs it.
Okay, I'll stay another 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, Frano, if you need to go, go. I'll do the timekeep.
Okay, Joe, thank you. Take it over.
So it's 2 minutes. We have Nicole Totoro. And so at 30 seconds, Joe, if you can stay muted until the 30-second mark, unmute yourself, and then 3 seconds, and then eventually time.
Copy that.
All right.
Okay.
Nicole, go ahead.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. My name is Nicole. I'm a constituent of the community board and a public health advocate from Einstein. And something that I'd like to talk about is COVID and how it's affected women in our district financially. This is a topic that I think is near and dear to my heart, and I know a lot of women in the community also feel the same. I'm not sure if any of you know this, but 63% of essential workers in New York City are female, significant portion being Black and Hispanic. And actually 15 to 20,000 came from our very own district. But unfortunately, women in the city still, there's still a significant wage gap. They can earn anywhere from 11,000 to 30,000 less than a white non-Hispanic male per year, with Hispanic women seeing the largest wage gap. And I think this is significant for our community due to the large Hispanic population and Black non-Hispanic population. And I think one way that this can be solved is if we push for legislation that focuses specifically on this topic, is directed and connected with the mayor's office. I know there was some question about whether or not the community board can comment on legislation, but if it's possible to send a letter of support or just to make it known that community board wants a task force to research the gender pay gap and make policy recommendations on how this can be solved. There is actually a bill that is tabled in City Council right now.
30 seconds, Nicole.
Gotcha. There is a bill right now in City Council that does make this proposal, but it's kind of hasn't gone through. And I think it would be great if we can have this task force and sort of make specific recommendations to help these women, especially now during COVID. Thank you.
So just to clarify for everybody, go ahead, Joe. You have something?
Oh, no, I just said thank you.
So just to clarify for, I think, so we can suggest legislation's drafted. The pushing for or against legislation, I think, came about as a result of the city charter. Was it? Let me do my homework and I'll get back to everybody on the issue. Okay. I don't want to waste any more of your time. Any questions for Nicole? Anybody? Great. So
but I have to.
This is Darrell Bowen. I just wanted to say something really quickly. The young lady that has spoke, I want her to send some information more in regarding that. I'm curious about pay inequity.
Yeah, absolutely. What specific email address would you like me to send that to?
Jerry,
send it to me, Nicole, and I'll forward on to the entire board, unless you want me to send it to you, Darrell.
Yeah, you can send it to Jeremy, and then I'll pick it up from there.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
Nicole, this is Councilmember Mark Jonah. Please keep me in the loop as well, and we can look at ways to address this issue.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question for Nicole.
Yeah, go ahead, Brenda.
Nicole, my question is about, you're saying there's a gender gap and you're specifying Latino. Is it just gender gap between men and women, or is it, are you just targeting your question to just Latino?
So my question is targeted to all women in the city. However, Hispanic women have the largest gap. So for example, women.
Nicole, I had to mute everybody. So just remember, if you're not speaking, please keep yourself muted.
Yeah, right. Brenda, when she talks, you have to mute. So because it echoes through your computer. That's what's happening.
Let me unmute Nicole again.
Okay.
Hey, Nicole.
So the wage gap ranges. For example, I believe the gap between a non-Hispanic white male and an Asian woman is 11,000, which is the smallest gap. But the largest gap is 30,000, and that is between a Hispanic female and a non-Hispanic white male. If that answers your question.
Okay, Bernard. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Nicole.
Thank you.
Then we have 2 other gallery sessions because I think the 5th one could not come. Let me see. Samuel. Sam, you're on.
Thank you, Jeremy and the board, for your time tonight. My name is Sam Nemiroff, and I'm also a constituent and public health advocate from Einstein. I wanted to talk today about ways our community can work to protect ourselves from COVID-19 and other diseases that are negatively impacted by diet-related conditions, given the recent uptick in COVID cases nationwide. COVID is more severe and lethal for people who have diet-related conditions like diabetes and heart disease, both of which are the top 2 causes for poor health and death in our community. We've seen disproportionate impact of COVID-19 on our population as a result. Because diet impacts all of these issues so deeply, we should look to incentivize solutions that address this issue at the root. One dietary modification that's been studied is replacing animal-derived protein for plant-based protein sources. And this isn't necessarily an all or nothing replacement. In fact, just substituting 1 serving of red meat for plant proteins has been shown to reduce the risk of developing type 2 diabetes by up to 21%. Our community can incentivize this modest lifestyle transition for our constituents by encouraging more local programs like Weiler's and public schools' adoption of Meatless Mondays, or trying to bring programs offered in other boroughs like the Pharmacy to Farm program to our neighborhood. So this Pharmacy to Farm program is run by the city health commissioner and partners with local pharmacies to co-issue medications for high blood pressure, along with $30 in coupons that can be used to purchase fresh produce at nearby farmers markets. And this incentivizes patients on SNAP or WIC to fill their prescriptions and also take an increased interest in eating more fruits and vegetables in their meals.
Mr. Sam, 30 seconds, please.
Thank you. Currently, the health commissioner is partnered with pharmacies in Brooklyn, Queens, and Manhattan, but none in the Bronx, despite the fact that over 1/3 of our population qualifies by receiving SNAP benefits, and our community has high rates of hypertension. If we could connect with the city's health commissioner, either by a letter or some way, to bring this program to our neighborhood, I think it would significantly help improve health outcomes in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Anybody else? Any questions? If
Yeah,
not,
no, I just
Go
wanted
ahead.
to, I just wanted really to, compliment, his name is, you said his name is Tim?
Sam.
Sam? Yeah, because as an ex-Olympian, I ran in the Olympics in '88. I can't tell you how much having a good diet and eating healthy has helped me stay healthy. And I think that the earlier you start, you're right, it's better for you, because I'm near 60, and my brother's older, and he passed away because he didn't eat as healthy as I did. So he developed a lot of issues in life. So it's very important for our community that we do try to spread the word about eating healthier. Like you said, substitute meat for not all of the meat, but some of a portion of it to use eat vegetables and the like. So I think it's a really good idea. I hope it really goes through, because that's one of the biggest things that's even affecting us, our community during COVID. Because mostly in poor neighborhoods, you see a lot of McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken, and that's what you see a lot of people eating. So I think the more you can educate the community to eat better, I think it'll go a long way. I really believe that. That's it.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And I know that the borough president of Brooklyn, Eric Adams, has been like a huge advocate for that, especially in COVID now. And there is also another bill on the floor for Green Mondays, but that is also stalled in committee that is supposed to, one part of it is to have the health commissioner produce more health information that's disseminated to the public to make better decisions regarding, substituting some of the meat for plant-based sources.
Absolutely agree. It will make a huge difference. It'll make a huge difference. You wouldn't, when it happens, you'll see. I hope it does happen. Good luck with that, really. I like that idea. And
Joe.
Yeah, I wanted to say that there were 62 counties in New York State, and the Bronx is dead last. In fact, the borough president has a program called Not 62, because we're the last. I mean, I'm on the health committee, and I see that there's very little being done about helping the Bronx with nutrition. It's really terrible. So just wanted to point that out, that's a real reason for the borough president to get involved with this. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
So Sam, Councilmember Joe and I want your contact info, so I'm going to forward your email onto him if that's okay with you.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Great. Okay, unless there's anything else, we have Jennifer. I'm not sure how Luke, I think. I'm not sure how you pronounce your last name. I'm going to mute her. Jennifer?
Hi. Hello? Hi, yes. Thank you, Jeremy and Community Board 11 for allowing me to speak. My name is actually Jennifer Luck, but really good attempt. I'm also a public health advocate at Einstein, and I just really wanted to talk about restaurant hygiene practices, especially in relation to this pandemic. As we've all experienced, being in lockdown and trying to stay indoors has led everyone to kind of order more food online, and this includes some Thanksgiving meals as well. However, it is cutting into the power of the city's health department sanitation inspection grading system, which you might see on the letters outside of restaurants like A, B, and C. And this was one of the key tools used to regulate the food industry and worked by making every single restaurant sanitation practices really visible and transparent to the public, and allowing to keep them accountable and incentivizing them to exercise best food hygiene practices. You can imagine that this isn't important just for food safety, but also to prevent the spread of COVID-19, as much of what is regulated isn't just best food practices, but best health practices in general. For our community in the Bronx, this is particularly relevant because we have more reported cases of the two most common pathogens when compared to the rest of the city alone. That would be Salmonella and norovirus. And this causes huge amounts of money and hospitalization time. And one of the suggested solutions to return power to the letter grade is to make these letter grades prominently displayed not only on storefronts, but also online where people browse for food. So this is like asking third-party food delivery services, such as Uber Eats and Grubhub, to post restaurant letter grades next to the names, so people can see them when they're browsing. Thank you. People can see them when they're browsing through restaurants and menus. This way, you can continue to encourage restaurant operators to maintain their own sanitary conditions while providing our residents with greater informed decision power regarding potential health risks. There are some motions at various levels, both city council and statewide. Many of these have been stalled. I think the city council one is actually drafted by our Mark Jonedge here.
Time is up. Time is up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions, comment?
Jennifer, Jeremy, can I just respond to Jennifer?
You are, whether everybody knows or not, he is a board member. Mark Jonah is a board member.
And I apologize. I know those are my bills, by the way. I was the first one in the country to have a hearing on Grubhub and third-party food delivery apps and the fees that they were charging and how we weren't aware what restaurants they were coming from, including dark kitchens, which means a kitchen can be in a warehouse and yet market food under 20 different names. We don't. Not only don't we know the letter or a grade that is associated with that restaurant, we don't even know where it's being made. And there's a lot of work that I hope to be able to deliver on regulating that dark kitchens, third-party food delivery apps, as well as the letter grade, as well as a slew of other bills. But the most important one that helped our restaurants now, I was able to reduce the 33% fee that these third-party food delivery apps are charging to 5% if it was marketing only. And that has helped our businesses survive this pandemic and crisis. So thank you for that, Jennifer.
Great job, Mark. That's fantastic.
I muted her, so I don't know.
Hi.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
Thank you very much. Yeah, the dark kitchens are very, very wild. I've been trying to talk about this to various societies, and it's now also supported by the Bronx County Medical Society. I hope that'll help it get out of some of the committees it's been stuck in.
Okay. All right. Unless there's anything else, that I believe that concludes our gallery. I don't believe. Then again, Eileen could have called, and I'm not sure. I will
Isn't
back to
there
her.
one more person here? Eileen Marcus?
Yes, I have to see if she called in. I don't know. Harry did try calling her during the meeting just to make sure she got the information.
Jeremy, I tried calling her. She'll probably speak at next month's meeting.
Okay. So I'll double check with the phone calls, but other than that, we will move on to the elected officials. We obviously heard from Councilmember Jonah, Assemblymember Fernandez. Tom Lucania was in the meeting. I don't know if he's still here. Let me check. Yes, he is. Let me unmute him for President's Office. Tom?
I'm here, Jeremy. Do you hear me?
Gotcha. We can hear you.
Great, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I realize the hour is getting late, and so I will be brief. I know you'll keep me within my 2 minutes. First, I want to thank you all for participating once again this month and appreciate all of your time and effort. I want to thank the new board members who participated in last week's orientation session. I've shared much of the information that was presented at the orientation session to the board as a whole and to the new members for their information. Just to follow up on what Jeremy was talking about earlier about the law department and legislation. The board can vote to support legislation. It just can't lobby it once you've submitted a letter of support or a letter in opposition. So that's the basic rules that the law department has set out. We did send to all of you the latest borough president newsletter with information on COVID, with information on various activities and giveaways that the borough president has been sponsoring over the last month. And finally, this morning at the borough board meeting, Dr. Nancy Keck from our office made a presentation regarding COVID. And one of the most important things that she mentioned was that people in the Bronx are not getting tested at the same rate as people in the other boroughs. We're actually at 1/2 of the number of people getting tested as opposed to Manhattan, Queens, and Brooklyn. So I think
30 seconds, Tom.
I think the Queens had like 16,000 tests in one day, and the Bronx only had about 7,500. So there are plenty of places to go for your testing. So please take advantage of it. We need to bring those up. And then finally, I just wanted to wish you and your families a happy Thanksgiving, and please stay safe over the holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you for staying on time, Tom. Any questions? If not, we will move on to our next elected official.
Can Tom hang out? Tom, I know you probably have to go. Would you be able to hang out for just the next 10 minutes? We have a question for you before you go.
Sure.
Okay. Maris should be here still, hopefully. I'm not sure if he left. Oops. Joe, you should be able to unmute yourself. Let me just do it for him.
Good evening. I couldn't unmute myself, Jeremy.
Don't worry about it. I got you.
I just wanted to say that again, and I put it in the chat, that the office is open Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And please call before you come over, because a lot of the things we could do over the phone, and we only allow one person in the office at a time. Email is jmcmanus@council.nyc.gov. I'd like to wish everybody happy Thanksgiving. I know Jeremy requested Congressman-elect Torres to come to the meeting. Right now, he's in orientation in Washington. I'm trying to get feedback from him if he might be able to make the December meeting. And I was at the borough board, and I heard that the doctor talking about the COVID, and it seems like, the most important thing she kept saying, wash your hands, wear a mask, keep away. So it does work, and get tested. Toby has a good testing place. It's right here in the neighborhood. So, And Jeremy sent out to everybody all the testing places. So that's the strength of my report. Again, have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Try not to congregate with too many people indoors. And I think it's going to be like 54 degrees in Thanksgiving. So if you have a lot of people, open the windows. Thank you.
All right. If there's any questions for the council member's office, I'll turn it over to the citywide kids. I got mayor's office. Miguel. Miguel, you on.
Oh, there you go. I unmuted myself. I learned how to do it. Hi, everybody. Happy early Thanksgiving to everyone. It is my pleasure to be here speaking to you all. I'll make my announcements fairly quick. The most important thing and what the administration has really been focusing on is really on preventing the spread. That means following the core 4, which is stay home if you're sick, keep physical distancing 6 feet apart, wear a face covering, preferably a mask, keep your hands clean, whether it be with hand sanitizer or good old-fashioned soap and water, and separately, get tested. I get tested every month. I go to 4101 White Plains Road in Community Board 12 because I live in Community Board 12. And so I get tested every month. I want to advise folks, especially if you're working or you're outdoors or you're interacting with other people constantly, get tested. The official recommendation is to not congregate for the holidays. I know that is a very difficult thing to do, but the idea behind it is so that we can have another holiday in the future with our loved ones. Unofficially, I guess my unofficial advice, sort of just myself, if you are going to, if for any reason you cannot be away from loved ones during the holidays physically, make sure to get tested before, make sure to get tested afterwards. Also,
30 seconds, please, Miguel.
The folks around you, sure, are getting tested. It was already mentioned that school buildings are closed. The mayor had mentioned it from the very beginning, from when schools reopened. The moment that the city hit 3%, schools were going to close. Also, you can still get grab-and-go meals from the New York City schools meal hubs. They're continuing that program. I'll leave it at that. Thank you, everyone.
Great. Unless there's questions, we have Marielle De La Cruz from the comptroller's office. Marielle.
Hi, everyone. This is Marielle from the New York. Hello. This is Marielle from the New York City Comptroller's Office. I'm the Bronx Borough Director. I thought my hair looked better, but it does not, so I apologize. I just quickly wanted to make a couple of announcements. First of all, Yahe, I understand the anger and the concern. That is something that I've heard from all over. I cover lots of different. I'm about to cover like 6 or 7 different community boards. And that's it's really difficult, especially when people are in the know and still confused. I can't imagine with folks that may have all the education in the world, but may not have all the time in the world to sit down and try to digest this, because it is a lot and it is something that impacts our community. So I know that the comptroller has expressed his deep concern about leadership, especially when it comes to schooling, because parents have to make decisions. Some of us don't have the privilege of working from home. And some people are getting called, they're work in the service industry, or are nurses or doctors, are called essential workers, but are not given essential treatment when it comes to things that they need to do for their daily lives. So it's understood, and I appreciate that, and I'm so sorry that that's occurring. I also wanted to mention our office has looked into certain wage gaps, and we have also had different presentations throughout the years. But I do want to talk about a survey that our office has launched, the Better Balance Survey. We want to see how life has affected life and work together, or don't work together during COVID. So the survey is just to get an understanding citywide of what people are dealing with, and making sure that there's certain concessions that
30 seconds, Marielle.
that your job has to make, that they are doing them for you. So Jeremy, if you can send that out to folks, and I can send it to you again. We're trying to get a lay of the lands for everyone, and all sorts of different backgrounds in order to make appropriate kind of findings. But thank you so much, y'all. Have a happy Thanksgiving for those that can. And also too, please feel free to invite me to your local meetings. I haven't been to some because I haven't gotten invites. So please continue to do so. And thank you so much for having me here today. Have a good night.
Okay, Christina from the Bronx DA's office. You should be able to mute yourself.
Yes, hello, good evening, everyone. It's Christina Calderon here from the Office of the Bronx District Attorney. I just want to say happy Thanksgiving. If you need to get in touch with our office, please contact us at 718-590-2272. If you or anyone you know is a victim of crime and would like to receive services, you can contact our Crime Victims Assistance Unit at 718-590-2115. Have a good night, everyone.
Yeah, hey, you want me to pull this up now? Or hey, want me to pull up the ethics minutes? I think maybe because Tom McKinney was still in the meeting.
Yeah, but once we're done with everybody, won't be right before old business, or maybe right after. Actually, during old business.
So go through the rest of the electeds.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Terrence. I'm sorry, I thought you're in the meeting still, right? Terrence from the Public Advocate's Office.
Hi, good night, everyone. This is Terrence Miller from the Public Advocate's Office. We just want to wish you an early happy Thanksgiving. So the Public Advocate has introduced some legislation to support small businesses and essential workers at this time. So the first bill would require the city to create guidelines for a safe reopening and to reduce the spread of COVID-19 while allowing those businesses to operate and recover amid the economic crisis. And the second bill would require the Department of Small Business Services to report on the impact of COVID-19 on small businesses. While it is broadly clear that there has been an extraordinarily devastating impact on these businesses, providing aid would definitely help them out. So that's what the Public Advocate has been doing alongside his colleagues in the City Council. If you have any questions or concern, please feel free to reach out to me. I can put my email in the chat. So thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Terrence. Emily from Senator Biagi's office. Go ahead.
Hi there. Yes. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
All right. Good evening, folks. I'm so sorry I wasn't here last month. Welcome to the new board members. I have two quick announcements. One announcement is that we will be giving out turkeys and turkey vouchers to some community members in CB11. I know I've spoke with Edith and Bernadette already about that, so we will be collaborating with them on giving turkeys this Thanksgiving. Lastly, please continue to follow protocols for COVID. I know that a chunk of CB11 fell under the yellow zone, so please continue to follow proper protocols, especially during the holiday season. Our office can be reached at 718-822-2049, and I can be reached at evasquez@nysenate.gov. Thanksgiving, everyone.
Thank you. Brunel from Senator Jamal Bailey's office.
Hi, this is Brunel from Senator Jamal T. Bailey's office. We've been having a couple of events such as PPE giveaways and food giveaways. So on Monday, we had a food giveaway at Parkside Houses along with Assembly Member Natalia Fernandez and also Congresswoman Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez. And also on Tuesday, we had a homeowner and tenant benefits information session, also with Natalia Fernandez. And if you didn't know, Senator Jamal T. Bailey is also the Bronx Democrat County Chair, if you guys didn't know that yet. And happy Thanksgiving.
Great. Thank you very much, Brunel. And we have Caitlin from Senator Rivera's office. Just bear with me. forgot about her. No offense, Caitlin. Let me unmute her.
Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Hi, everyone. This is Caitlin from Senator Rivera's office. I just wanted to jump on really fast. Due to the fact that there have been several concerning spikes, especially in the Bronx, we've made the decision to close our office until further notice. We are going to be continuing to work from home like we did previously in the spring. So if you still need assistance, I will leave my information in the chat. You will still be able to call the office number and be directed to a staff member, but you can always reach me via email. Just due to the fact that the rates are still going up, you should get tested. Even if you're not showing symptoms, it's just better safe than sorry. Go out and get tested. I can send you testing information if you need it. And then I hope you all have a happy Thanksgiving. And that's it for me.
Great. Thank you very much. I believe that concludes the electeds. If there's anybody else, you will have to get in touch with me. So before, I guess, it's considered, it's not old business, I don't know. Anyway, we're going to go to ethics for Yahe Abid. Let me share. See this? Was it clear enough? I don't know if you need me to move up, down. Yahe, you still there?
Yeah, I'm
Everybody
here.
hear me? Go. Is that large
All right,
enough?
So, yeah, that's good. So we're kind of going back a little bit. We're going back to committee reports for item E. For the Ethics Committee, the Ethics Committee did meet. We had 4 new members in the committee. It's not an easy committee. I guess we all figured that out during last month's meeting when we went into executive session for quite a long time. We've done that a few times in the committee meetings. So we did go over the complaints. We had a few complaints from members of the public against either community board members, staff members, or a committee as a whole. My question for Tom was, we did make recommendations, as you can see, Jeremy, if you can scroll down towards the end where it says the following complaints were discussed on record and we voted on them. So we voted on these. And my question to Tom is, do we still have to vote on them here again? Because if we do vote on them, we would have to go into executive session to discuss them because they do involve community board members or staff members that we would have to discuss in detail.
So I gotta unmute him. Let me.
No, I'm unmuted.
Oh, okay, great.
I'm only seeing this now and haven't had a chance to read it, so I'm not going to be able to give you an answer very quickly. If, as I understand it, if the committee has decided that no action was to be taken, that the complaint was not validated, if I'm not using the correct word, substantiated, then no further action is needed. It doesn't have to go to the full board for a vote. It only goes before the board for a vote if the complaint was substantiated and there is an action that is being requested by the committee for the board to take, if that's helpful.
Yeah, I guess. So item A, those complaints with the incident dates, they are listed with the 4 incident dates. They were closed, so we won't need to discuss them. But the other complaints, action will need to be taken. So I guess we would have to go into executive session. I think it'll be quick. I know it was not quick last month, but I think adding 4 members to the committee, now we have a bigger committee. We have 7 set of eyes looking at it versus 3 prior. So I think,
Well, that's fine. Just to be sure that you still have a quorum, because I see people have left before you go into executive session. Jeremy should just check to see that there is a quorum left. Because I
So
know
that's a good way to maybe catch people I didn't catch earlier for attendance. I don't want to mark them absent. So I will just go through roll call, basically. Okay? Is that okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, any way you can get it done.
Just bear with me. Let me pull it up because I closed it. I'm thinking I would need it again. So Al's excused. Oops. So Yahe's still present. Veronica Castro, she's still present.
Yes.
Hazel Mura. Frano had to leave. Yes. Hazel's still present, I assume. If she's not,
Still here.
and got to do this a certain way. Hold on. Okay. Sneem and Christian and Edith.
I'm here.
And Darrell. And tell me if you're here, Edith, or if somebody spots them, if you look through the list, Chris Harriet, if you could help me out. Edith, Darrell, Pat Charles, Paula Creary, Bernadette Ferrara.
Here.
France.
Charles had to leave. She had an issue at her apartment.
Yeah, that's right. I saw that. Paula Creary.
Here.
Bernadette. Paula's here. Bernadette. Averill. Rabbi. Galnick. He left and he came back. I think he's back. Snowcan.
Yeah, I'm back.
John Johnson. Deborah Kolick. David Levitt.
Here.
David, okay. Natalie Medina.
I'm here.
Who's that? Who is that?
Debbie.
Debbie, okay.
Natalie's
Is
here too.
Okay, good. I'm looking at a spreadsheet. I'm not looking at the WebEx. So I can't see if you're here. Joe Menta?
Here.
Ryan Norris?
Here. I'm here.
Great. Thank you. Naomi Emerson? Okay.
Here. I'm here.
Okay. Keith Ramsey, did he ever join?
Yeah.
Jeremy's John is here also.
Yeah, thank you, John. And let me go back up to you. Hold on. Okay. Richard Reynoso?
Here.
Keith, you said you're here? Keith Ramsey said he's here?
Yes, he's here.
Great. Daisy still in? Izzy Rodriguez?
I'm here.
Ellie Rodriguez?
Present.
Thank you. Joanne Rubino?
Here.
Oral's still here, I believe, right?
Yeah, I'm here.
Peach Scraley?
Here.
Thank you. Andrea Siegel? Andrea Siegel? Lisa Soto?
Trying to sign back in. She got kicked off.
Who did? Is that Daisy?
Soto. Lisa Soto.
Okay. So should I put her or should I wait? Sandy Unger called in. We might have some caller-ins. So I think we have a quorum regardless.
Joanne Terrelong is here.
Oh, thank you, Joanne. Yep, I got you.
I think you're good, Jeremy.
I think so too. Just let me double check. No, we're not. I need to. Oh, no, I got Sandy. Hold on, let me get Sandy. Is Sandy still in? I don't know if she's still in. If Sandy's not in, then we're not good necessarily. Because this is including Lisa. I'm just gonna announce the But Sandy, if you can text message me like you were earlier, I'd appreciate it. Otherwise, I gotta go through the caller-ins. Let me just unmute caller-ins. Just the easiest way, I think. Okay. Caller 11. It's 718-547 number. Going once. Going twice. Got a 917-873 number. If you please announce yourself, if you're a board member. Okay, going once, going twice. I have a 718-654 number. 718-654. It just dropped off. I guess I didn't want their number announced. Okay, I don't see us having a quorum. What the count is, let me just go back through the people I don't have. I don't have Al, I don't have Frano, I don't have Tasneem, I have Valerie, I don't have Joe Baycote, I have Edith Blitzer, I don't have Junior Campbell, Pat Charles, Trisha De Jesus, Bernadette, I don't have Averill, Rabbi, Ken Gelnick, I didn't hear from. Malini.
I'm here.
I'm here.
Ken is here.
Who?
Kenny is here.
Ken is here. So that puts us,
Lisa's here, Jeremy. I'm here.
So that gives us, no, that does not give us a quorum. Thought it would. Well, I was assuming Sandy was in, sorry. Because we have 48 members.
Did you hear me? It's Lisa.
Yes, I got
Did
you.
Get me?
I got you. We have 48 members currently.
Jeremy, Sandy's trying to come in.
Okay.
Yeah, we have 24 members on, because we have 27 panelists, but 3 are staff. So we do have 24 people on. So that's 50%. So we're just waiting for Sandy to dial back in.
Well,
Sandy needs the number to dial back in. She just texted me.
Jeremy, I'm counting 37 participants minus 3 of us, it makes 35.
People are, I mean.
You're counting the public, Chris. So I'm just looking at the panelists. I know we have 37 people, that's including the public.
It says participants unless, public discussion.
Participants, yeah, they're considered participants, Chris.
Oh, okay.
You have to subtract the 9 from attendee.
Okay.
So
you have 25. Minus 3 of us, you have 22.
I will try texting Sandy the information.
I promise this will be quick.
Promises.
I'll be shorter than David Levitt, so don't worry.
It wasn't short a couple nights ago. Let me tell you that much.
Yes.
A long night.
And David, I'm just messing with you.
You're right about that, Ellie.
I love your input, David.
Thanks, Yahayam. You can't see that I'm smiling.
Yeah, I know if I say something and David is quiet about it, I know I did it right.
I think that was Sandy that was originally in when they dropped off. I just texted her the call-in information and ID.
And Jeremy, is Chris able to take over?
I think Paula should log in. I mean, I don't think staff should be present. I don't think it's appropriate. I do it that way, but I don't recommend it.
Is
I
Paula on?
think Joe Bacota's in the meeting. I think Joe Bacota's in the meeting. Joe Bacot? Joe Bacot? I just unmuted him. Looks like his phone number, but.
Sandy said she just joined.
All right.
718 number. Oh.
All right, Sandy. All right. Yeah, so we have a quorum. So Paula,
Yes.
are you able to log in? We can log out.
Yeah, I could log in. If you could just send me the information.
Yes, but before we do that, to go into executive session, you have to clearly state why, and we have to vote on it.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so
Oh, sorry.
No, this is not Hay. This is the other guy I'm talking to.
yeah, so I'm calling for a motion to go into executive session to discuss complaints filed by members of the public against community board members and or staff members. These complaints might lead to possible discussion with that employee. So it is a personnel matter. Those are the grounds to go into executive session. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Thank you, Sandy.
Oh, you can hear me
anyone-
now? How can you hear me before? Okay.
Yes, thank you, Sandy. Anyone up for a discussion, I guess? I don't think we'll have any, but any abstentions or anyone against? Okay, the motion passes. So Jeremy, if you can pass the power over to Paula and stop recording at this time.
Yeah, I'm going to stop recording first. So Chris and Harriet, you just jump out.